Thank you so much for joining. So we are on chapter number 22. Prithu Maharaj meets the four Kumaras and verse number I think 20. So 420 to 20. So up to this point, what we have seen in this chapter is how we saw that how the Kumaras actually arrive at the scene, and then how the main point that we saw is how Prithumara receives the four Kumaras, right? And we actually discussed that this Bhagavatam is showing us how when we meet great saintly persons, like what should we say, what should be our initial way of welcoming them. And we saw that how Prithumara makes a point that it's such rare, like so fortunate I am that you have all arrived here, right? Just to have your darshan, even for great yogis, it is so difficult to have that darshan, right? And you have actually come here. And then he makes a point that he basically makes a point that what will make a householder glorious, when Vaishnavas come to the householder becomes glorious. But everything else, even a person may be very rich person, but if he's not having Vaishnavas at his house, if he is not blessed by the mercy of Vaishnavas, then his house is just like the a tree covered with venomous snakes. Right? So we read that point, and and he made that point. And then, and he says, like, in whose house there's no water for washing their feet of the Vaishnava, then the house is just like a tree filled with venomous snakes. Right? And then he also made the point that, that he says, like, I am a grahastha, he's taking the role of a conditioned soul and saying that I am a grahastha, and, therefore, is there any good fortune for me? And then he actually says, actually, there's no need to ask about your good fortune. Why? Because you're Atma Ramas. You're beyond the stage of mental speculation. Therefore, there is no reason. Like, I have a short time now. Your association is there. I don't want to waste even a single moment. So please tell me what is... you are Surya of everyone. Therefore, please tell me what is the ultimate benefit for people who are suffering in this world. So he's taking the position that I am suffering in this world and I need help. So please tell me what is the ultimate benefit for that. Right? And he also says that it's actually the Lord who's traveling in the form of these merciful devotees. So these devotees traveling around is actually the mercy of the form. That And then we see how the Sanat Kumar, he starts speaking, and then he says, like, actually he glorifies Prithumara. He says, Prithumara, your speech is so meaning saram, right? It's so appropriate, it is so concise, it is so sweet. And they became very satisfied. This is Maitreya Muni speaking, and saying the speech was so, he glorifies the speech, and he says, like, and then Sanat Kumar started speaking, and then he says, like, oh, I have been sadhu prishtam, right? We've seen this word before also. Like, all questions you have asked is like very excellent. It just fits a sadhu like you, right? Because it's for the benefit of everyone, right? And then he made, so 19 we discussed, where they are saying that this Sangama Sadhunam, when there's association of devotees, then what happens? Two things happen. Sambhashana and Samprashna. Sambhashana means there's discussions of Harikatha, and Samprashna, there is question and answers, right? So, and then he says, Samata Ubheyasham. So, this becomes conclusive for both, Sarvesham Vitanoti Sam. And this is actually beneficial for everyone. So, both the speaker and the hearer, because they are discussing subject matters, they are asking questions back and forth. So, hence, it is actually, you can reach a conclusive truth. Both the speaker and the hearer can reach a conclusive truth, and everyone else who's hearing will actually get the benefit. Right? So there's a nice point about Sangama Sadhuna, association of devotees. What we should do? Sambhashana and Samprashna. Right? And then basically the Kumara is saying, like, just as you desire our association, we desire your association. Right? So we desire your association. And then in the purport we discussed that how Prabhupada says that in Bhagavad Gita, like, even before he came to the West, people knew Bhagavad Gita. I mean, knew that is Bhagavad Gita. They know the contents of Bhagavad Gita. But he's saying, why did people not become devotees of Krishna? Because they did not have these discussions. They were not open to question answers where they had perfect question, perfect answers. Like Prabhupada's book, perfect question, perfect answers. So that was not happening. and because of that, no devotees, no one actually became a devotee of Krishna. So the subject matter was not discussed. Right? And and then so many examples were given that Narada questioned Brahma, and Brahma thanked Narada for the opportunity to speak. So both, when you say Ubhe Asham in the verse, the speaker, hearer, both are benefited. Then the materialist and the transcendentalist both are benefited, because when the materialists, they get the association of devotees, then their life becomes regulated, they get the chance to take up Krishna consciousness. And then the third, he actually says both karmis and jnanis, if they come to this association, they actually get benefited. So every category of people gets benefited by discussions of Harikatha. Okay, so I think we stop there. Yes. Right. So we'll start with text number 20. Okay. Is it okay? Any questions or any points up to this? So today, I think our whole discussion will be mainly the wisdom that the four Kumaras give to Prithu, and then how Prithu actually responds to that. So up to text number 40 is actually what Sanat Kumar tells Prithu Maharaj, and then from 41 to 48 is how Prithu Maharaj praises the four Kumaras. Right? So that's that. And then the end of the chapter is glorifying the qualities of Prithu, and that completes this chapter. Right? But the main essence is these instructions. So let's see, because we have not come to the real point of like what is the real essence of what is the instruction that Sanat Kumar gives to Prithu Maharaj. Till now, everything he has said is just setting the scene, appreciating the question, and saying how this is so beneficial to have these discussions. And now he'll start to give the wisdom. Okay. So text 20.
Yes. Text 20. Astyeva rajan bhavato madhudvishah padarvindasya gunanuvadane ratir vidunoti naishtiki kaman kashayam malam antaratmanaha. I don't have the list yet if anyone would like to start.
Hare Krishna. Sanat Kumara continued, My dear king, you already have an inclination to glorify the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such attachment is very difficult to achieve, but when one has attained such unflinching faith in the Lord, it automatically cleanses lusty desires from the core of the heart. Hare Krishna.
So here they are actually glorifying the king, right? And we see that the speaker and the hearer, when the hearer asks a question, and the speaker glorifies the hearer itself. So here, four Kumaras are actually Sanat Kumar is actually glorifying Prithu, and he says, Asti evan Rajan Bhavato. Right? He says, O king, Rajan, O king, certainly Bhavata, you, Madhudvisha is the name of the Lord, right? So Madhudvisha, the Lord himself, Pada Arvinda, the lotus feet of the Lord, Guna Anuvadane. So we have seen this word before also, Guna Anuvadane, to speak the glories of the Lord. And then he says, Ratihi. You already have Rati, attachment to glorifying the qualities of the lotus feet of the Lord. You already have it. Right? And then further he says, Durapa. This is actually very difficult to attain. Right? Who is that rare person who has that attachment to glorify the lotus feet of the Lord? But you, Prithu, you already have that attachment. And then he says, Vidunoti. And just that attachment, Vidunoti washes away. Right? We saw the Dunoti word. Right? Vidunoti Surisatam. Washes away what? Naishtiki Kamam. Kamam is lust. Kashayam, the embellishment of lusty desire. So this Kashayam is actually also explained like a mineral dye. Like a mineral, like if you dye something with a mineral, once you have the experience, like your sari or dhoti, like you're cooking in the kitchen, and all of a sudden like there's like turmeric stain or some stain, and once it's there, it's like so hard to take out, right? So these Kamam, which is there in the heart, Malam, dirty things in the heart, Antaha Atmana, they are like so deep rooted in the core of the heart that it's so hard to take it out. But your attachment to speak the qualities of the Lord is the solution to wash away those deep-rooted anarthas in our heart. Right? Do we even know what are the anarthas in our heart? Actually, it's very interesting that in our spiritual life, that many times we may come and say, "Oh Krishna, please take away the anarthas in the core of the heart." So many anarthas are there, and many times it happens that the Lord actually shows us our anarthas. You know, He will something will happen, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't know I have so much pride in my heart. I didn't know I had this in my heart." The Lord shows us the anartha. And that is actually the blessing of the Lord, because we don't even know what is our lust is there. So what are the anarthas? That kamam, malam, right? The lust, mala and kama. What is that? And we don't even know. And the Lord will show us, oh, this is. Or maybe a devotee will say something to us, or we get chastised, or, any of these situations Krishna arranges. But He'll show us what is our lust. And once you know it, then by the process of chanting, by the process of hearing, by the process of association, then all those things can come out. Right? But again, this is the point. Attachment to speak the glories of Ratihi, attachment to speak, glorify the quality of the Lord, is the sure way to actually take away all these dirty things in the heart. Right? And then particularly he says, Antaha Atmana, they are so deep rooted in the core of the heart. So Prabhupada in the purport, he actually says, right. He actually says, quotes Srimad Bhagavatam 3:25-25, Satam prasanga mama virya samido bhavanti ritkanna rasayana kata tad joshanat aso apavarga vartamni shraddha rate bhaktir anukramashati. So entire starting from Shraddha, then going to Ratihi, going to Bhakti, pure devotion. Everything can be attained just by this one process. What is that? Satam prasanga. Satam, devotees. Prasanga means that association of hearing with the devotees, chanting with the devotees. And Prabhupada also gives the example of silver. Right? When silver becomes shiny by being polished, so similarly the heart of the materialistic people. And we have seen that, right? If you, I know, particularly you go to India, and if you have silver items, just because of the air, so quickly it will become dark. I know India is every few days you'll have to polish the silver. It becomes dark. Similarly, our heart, which is actually originally pure, has now become like that, coated with that black thing. But how can it be cleansed? Again, how you polish the silver. So here the polishing is association of devotees, and with that our heart will get cleansed. Right? And then Prabhupada also makes a point. Actually, for a jiva, is there any connection with material enjoyment, with lust, all those things? Is it actually there? Right? Which is a verse we say, asanga hi purusha. Asanga. That is actually asanga hi purusha. That's actually jiva never as such. The original spirit, so as such, never can get contaminated. It is such an ananda. It is only the imagining, or we are dreaming that, oh, I am so and so, and because of that, that is a contamination. But actually the jiva is just in a dream, a person may see a dream and say oh, I am in so and so place, I am doing that. But is that really? No, he's right there, just on his bed. Similarly, that we are just like in a dream, we may think that, oh, I am the king, I am the president of United States. We may think whether, right? And then but actually, are we? No, we are not. And because, how Prabhupada gives the example, we may see a tiger chasing us, and we are thinking that, oh, that person in the dream is actually me, and I am getting bitten by a snake, or I am. And because we are identifying, hence we are actually feeling it. But is there anything? No, you are just on your bed. You may be in your, the best kind of mattress and nice AC environment, everything. You are actually aloof from it, but just a false identification. And what does a devotee do? He'll come at 3:30 in the morning and say, Prabhu, wake up, time for Mangla Aarti. Right? He will wake us up. So Prabhupada is making a point. We are misidentifying, and the devotees come and they wake us up. Right? They wake us up. They'll say, Jeev jago, Gora Chandra bole, wake up, sleeping soul. How long will you sleep in the laps of the witch called Maya? Right? So that's what the devotee. So association of devotees is waking us up. And once we wake up, then we are situated in our own glory. Such a nice word. We are situated in where? Our own glories, because we are that part and parcel of the Lord. We are that shining amsha of the Lord, like silver, shining amsha of the Lord. We are. So a devotee, just by his waking us up. Like yesterday we were discussing that many times we hear, speakers, I'm talking outside ISKCON, and they'll give like, oh, so sweet, this pastime, and they'll talk of like, Radha Krishna pastimes, or even like other pastimes of Bhagavatam, and they'll give just like the sweetness. And the devotee I was talking to was making the point, but he was saying, but Prabhu, I think we need, he said, Prabhu, we need personalities like Prabhupada who are direct on the spot and who will say like, no, wake up. You have a short time. You do not even have 7 minutes to live. Wake up right now. So he was saying that how, you hear Prabhupada's class, you see the urgency, you see the need to actually right now take up Krishna consciousness, right? And we see that Prabhupada is so direct in a point. He doesn't compromise, right? Okay. So, and then here, Prabhupada also mentions that Prithu is self-realized, so hence he has that ratihi, that taste for chanting, for speaking Harikatha. And if you have that ratihi, there is no chance of falling into Maya. Okay, so text 21. So, so this is actually in response to Prithu has already asked the question, what is beneficial for me? And here, what is the answer? You already have a taste for speaking Harikatha, you just continue doing that. That is the most beneficial thing for you and for everyone. Okay, 21.
Shastre shriyameva sunishchito nirnam kshemasya sadryag vimrisheshu hetuhu asanga atma vyatirikta atmani dridharatir brahmani nirgune chaya.
It has been conclusively decided in the scriptures after due consideration that the ultimate goal for the welfare of human society is detachment from the bodily concept of life and increased and steadfast attachment for the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental beyond the modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. So, so basically here it says, one interesting point is, how does Bhagavatam start? In the 6 questions. One of the 6 questions is, what is the ultimate benefit for everyone? Again here, Prithu is asking the same thing. What is the ultimate benefit for everyone? And here it's interesting, he says, Shastresu iyan eva so nishchitaha. Nishchitaha means it is positively concluded in the scriptures. So if you study all the scriptures, you will not find any other conclusion. You study everything, all the scriptures, you will come to this one conclusion. This is for sure. No need to go back and review that. Oh, maybe we made a mistake. No, this is conclusively proved. What is it? Nrinam Shemaya, the ultimate benefit. So if you see this word, this is there also in the first canto. Nrinam Shemaya, the ultimate benefit. For all people is what? Sadrik, right? Vim ratio. And this is actually done with full consideration of the Shastra. There are 2 points. Asangaha Atma. So I mentioned the verse before also. Asangahi Purusha. Asangaha Atma Vyativikte. It says detachment from body concept of life, and Atmani Drida Ratihi. To have that Ratihi, that attachment to what? The super soul. Right? So both. So one is we need to have the detachment, and second from body concept, and second attachment. So one who has this, that is the means to attain the ultimate benefit for everyone. We have to get that detachment, right? Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janati Asu Vairagyam. We have to have Vairagya, and at the same time we need to have positive attachment. So Prabhupada here in the purport, he says everyone wants to get the ultimate benefit, but people do not even know. Why? Because we are in body concept, and because we identify with so many body designations, we say, oh, my goal of life is to attain first grade in, to be the top of so and so. I want to become a CEO of this company. I am this. I want to become a mayor. I want to become. So all these, because we are identifying with a particular state, country, position, relation. Because of that, we have all these goals, but all that is temporary. Once the bodily concept of life is actually given up, then we know that this is not the ultimate benefit, right? And that's the whole theme of Bhagavad Gita, right? Krishna actually starts the second chapter, and the first thing he says, Arjun, first of all, understand who you are. Then we'll talk about what you should do. Right? So same point here Prabhupada is making. And then he quotes this verse, Vishaya Vinivartane Nidaharasya Dehina Rasavarjam Rasapasya Param Drisha Nivartate. We have to get that positive taste for Krishna. Just to understand, okay, I'm not the body is not enough. Okay, I'm not the body, but what should I do? Like once I was talking to one of my cousins, and she was reading, like she started reading the Bhagavad Gita, and she's like, okay, I read second chapter. Now I know, okay, we are not this body. But what next? What next? And I felt interesting that she was asking the question, what next? Because many times it's like, okay, I'm not the body. And then we just working, but it was interesting. She was asking, okay, if I understand I'm not the body, then, okay, who am I? What should I do? And here, the positive part is mentioned. That one has to develop that ratihi, that attachment to the Supreme Personality of God. Right? And then Prabhupada also says, the Vedanta Sutra mentions, Atato Brahma Jigyasa, without inquiry or attachment to the Supreme, one cannot give up attachment for the world, right? So it is, how do we give detachment? Only by getting positive attachment. You cannot say, first I will detach myself, and then when my detachment is over, then I will take a bhakti. It doesn't work that way. You have to develop positive attachment, and by the positive attachment, the negativeness will go away. Often that example is given that you have a cup and you want to fill water in the cup. It's not that first you take out the air and then you put water. Just by pouring the water, the air automatically goes away. Right? So that's our process of bhakti. And this is very practical that, we have, in our spiritual life, we may have certain things that we feel like, oh, I cannot give up, or I have this attachment, and again this habit is troubling me. And, this anartha again and again is happening. Right? And what do? We say, okay, next time I will not do this, and then we, try to keep that thing far away, or but how successfully does that work? Again, you will get that inclination again, but how does it finally for sure happen? As we progress in bhakti, as we get the association, as we are chanting Hare Krishna and we are progressing in bhakti, and maybe that some of the habits may be very difficult and may take years, years of chanting, years of association, and after years we may feel like, oh, now I don't have taste, right? Now I don't have taste. So it is by that positive attachment to Krishna that the negative things can go away. Right? Therefore, Prabhupada says, increase your attachment, engage in devotion service. Somehow or other, we have to get attached to Krishna Katha, to hearing, to chanting Krishna Katha. And that's it. Right? So Prabhupada concludes and says, the only way is to get a taste for devotional service. Otherwise, we cannot develop that detachment from this material world. That is the only way of detachment from material existence. And he also talks how the impersonalists and yogis, they may try to get detachment. And it's interesting that Vishwamitra's example keeps coming again and again and again. And one may say, like, if someone makes a mistake or falls down, you don't want to talk about him. But see, Vishwamitra, again and again, whenever there's a need for an example of a person who tried to develop detachment, not through the process of bhakti, then we mentioned, oh, such a great yogi Vishwamitra, he fell down. He fell down. Why? Because a positive connection with Krishna was not there. So all we have to do is somehow or other, through our bhakti, through our hearing, through our chanting, we have to develop that personal positive attachment to Krishna. Okay, text 22. I mean, it's amazing, right? How the Sanat Kumar is starting the instructions. And both the verses 20, 21, we read how they talk about pure devotion service, developing the rati for gunanumadane padaravindasya. Okay, everyone okay? Yes, no? So how do we develop attachment? The whole process is to develop attachment for glorifying Krishna. Then how do we develop that attachment?
Shravanam Kirtanam. Just listen about the glories of the Lord.
Okay. And
And association of
devotees. Okay. Any other points?
Service to the Vaishnavas and the Lord.
Okay.
Attaching to Krishna Kada.
So actually in the verse that we read, Satam Prasanga Mama Virya Samido, it actually says we have to get the prasanga. It's not just sangha. Prasanga. Pra is making that a special association. That means we are actually serving the lotus feet of Vaishnavas. We are actually doing the humble service. So Sevaya, Pariprasnena, Paripatena, we are doing that. And when we do that, then the process starts. So the verse says what? Shraddha, Ratir, Bhakti Ram. So you go to Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivriti, Nishta, Ruchi, right? And then Ashakti. Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti, then Bhava and Prem, right? So to come to the stage of Ashakti, that attachment, it is a process. It is a process. So we have to continue the limbs of Bhakti, and then in the association of Vaishnavas, Prasanga, then we can develop the attachment. Right? Okay, so text 22.
Ta shraddhaya bhagavadharmacharya jigyasaya dhyatmika yoga nishtaya yogeshwaropasanaya cha nityam punyashrava kathaya punyaya cha.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Attachment for the Supreme can be increased by practicing devotional service, inquiring about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, applying Bhakti Yoga in life, worshipping the Yogeshwara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by hearing and chanting about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These actions are pious in themselves. Hare Krishna.
Right, so basically the question I asked, the reason I asked the question is to already for us to start thinking. And now it's interesting, Prithu will first start off Gyan Mrishya Bhakti. So 4 verses, the focus is on Bhakti as a prominent, so Gyan Mrishya Bhakti, right? What did we discuss previously? Now, what did Prithu tell to the citizens?
Karma Mishra Bhakti.
And then?
And then Bhakti Karma. How do you say Bhakti? Mishra
Bhakti
Karma.
Mishra Karma, right? So first we talk of Karma Mishra Bhakti and Bhakti Mishra Karma. And in Karma Mishra Bhakti, what is prominent?
Bhakti is prominent.
Bhakti is prominent, right? Karma Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti is prominent, right? And Bhakti Mishra Karma, Karma is prominent, right? Second, right? It is like the second is the prominent, and Gyan or Karma is mixed with that prominent. So here we are focusing on Gyan Mishra Bhakti. So which is prominent? Bhakti, right? So first now Sanat Kumar will talk of Gyan Mishra Bhakti, and then he will talk of Bhakti Mishra Gyan, and he'll talk of pure devotion service, right? So there we talk of Karma Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti Mishra Karma. Today we'll talk of Gyan Mishra Bhakti and Bhakti Mishra Gyan. Okay. So first Gyana Mishra Bhakti. Right? 4 verses are focusing on this. So how do we attain the attachment? Here is the thing. Shraddhaya. First process is what? To have that faith, conviction. Conviction in what? Bhagavad Dharma Charyaya Jigyasaya. Right? We should be inquisitive about Charyaya is again like discussions. You should be inquisitive to know about devotional service, to have that inquiry. Jigyasa is like inquisitiveness to have those discussions of Harikatha. Right? Then he says, Adhyatma Yoga Nishtaya. Nishtaya is again conviction in Adhyatma Yoga. That means we have the conviction in spiritual life. We have applying Bhakti Yoga in our life, right? Yogeshwara Upasanaya. So we worship the Lord, and Yogeshwara is the thing that Prabhupada focuses on purport. So, which is a verse in Bhagavad Gita that talks of Yogeshwara? Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Right? The last verse of Bhagavad Gita. Wherever there's Krishna, wherever there's Arjun, there will always be victory, morality, opulence. Right? So, there it refers, who is Yogeshwara there? Krishna himself. Right? Krishna himself. Now, another verse that Prabhupada quotes, he says, Samay yukta tamo mataha. Right? Yukta tamo mataha. So there also that yukta tamo is actually, Prabhupada says, is also like Yogeshwara. Right? But there that Yogeshwara is referring to a devotee of the Lord. So that Yogeshwara, Upasana, worshipping the Lord or the topmost devotee. So Yogeshwara could refer to both the Lord and the topmost devotee of the Lord. And Prabhupada here focuses on Yogeshwara as the devotee. Because first we have to serve a devotee of the Lord. Right? So Yogeshwara Upasana means render service to a pure devotee. And then Prabhupada quotes Charya Vaishnava Seva. Right? Only by service to a Vaishnava. Charya Vaishnava Seva. Nishtara Pechekeva. Without serving a pure devotee, Nishtara Pechekeva. How can one progress in one's spiritual life? Right? Prahlad Maharaj also said, Naisham Matistavad Urukramangin Spishasi Anartha Pagamo Yad Artha Maya Sham Pada Rajobhishekam. We need every day, we have to get Abhishek. Not our deities, we need our own Abhishek. With what? Pada Raja Vishekam. So taking the dust of the Niskinchananan, right? Niskinchana means a pure devotee. You take the lust of the lotus feet and you bathe yourself with that dust, right? That basically means we have to take shelter of pure devotees. So every day we actually say, okay, what does my Guru Maharaj want me to do? What does Prabhupada want me to do? How, when we are engaging in chanting, okay, I am doing this just to fulfill the instruction of my Guru Maharaj. Right? So we are doing the Anga of Bhakti, but we do it in a way keeping that, oh, I'm just doing this for pleasing my spiritual master. And if we have that mood, why am I chanting? Why am I doing this? All just as service to Vaishnava, then our bhakti becomes very powerful because it is all for the service of a Vaishnava. So Prabhupada here also makes the point, take shelter of pure devotee. Nothing to do with the material, who has nothing. Nishkinchana nam, right? Nishkin, that means nothing to do. A person who has nothing to do with the material world, take shelter of him. Right? And so, taking shelter means to serve. Right? By service, we can transcend qualitative material condition. And then he makes a point. Service means to hear from him. Right? Service means to hear from pure devotee. So how do we serve our Guru Maharaj every day? We do Vani Seva. Right? Vani Seva means to, every day we hear from the spiritual master, we hear from Vaishnava. And by hearing, we are serving them. Right? By hearing, we are serving them. And then Prabhupada also goes, Shrunmatam Swakatha Krishna, Punya Shravanakrantam, Hridayantu Sabadan, Vidunoti Suritsatam. This is actually Punya. If you want to live a pious life, hear about Krishna. Right? Hear about Krishna. That's the only way. And then also Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita 7:28. Yesham tva antakatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante ma dhridavritaha. Right? How can we have that dhridavritaha? How can we fix in bhakti? The whole section is to have that nishta only when antagata papam, when all that papa is actually taken away. Right? And how will that papa be taken away? By hearing about Krishna. So hence Prabhupada concludes and says, okay, so what are our main things? Okay, our question is how to develop ratihi, attachment for Krishna. And 3 points. First, Ado Guru Ashraya. First and foremost, take shelter of Guru. This is from Nectar of Devotion, right? Bhakti Rasamrita. Ado Guru Ashrayam, then Sadharma Pricha. Then you actually ask questions, you inquire from your spiritual master, and then Sadhu Marga Anugamam. Then you follow in the footsteps of sadhus. So this is the surest way of attaining attachment to Krishna. Ado Guru Ashram. Find the spiritual master, take shelter of him. Second, Sadharma. Ask, inquire from the spiritual master. Third, follow in the footsteps of Vaishnava. By this, you will get Ratihi for Krishna. Right? So if someone asks how to develop Rati, these 3 points we can say. Ado Guru Ashram, Sadharma Pricha, Sadhu Marga, Anugama. Okay? Everyone? So we have, okay, what is the ultimate benefit for all of us? What is it?
To develop attachment to Krishna and detachment from bodily identification.
Okay, and now what is the process? What is the process that Sant Kumar is actually saying?
To hear from pure devotees. Will have faith, be inquisitive,
Yeah,
apply
so
Bhakti
having
Yoga.
faith, being inquisitive, practice bhakti yoga, and the last line actually I didn't mention. The last line says, Nityam punya shravaha kathaya punaya. So regularly hearing and chanting. So four things. Have shraddha, inquire whenever you meet a sadhu, ask him, oh, I'm so unfortunate, please tell me how I can progress. Inquire from him. Adhyatmic yoga nishchaya, engage in activities of bhakti yoga, then worship the devotees of the Lord, and then fifth point is regularly hear and chant the glories of the Lord. So 5 points actually he says in text 22. Okay.
Hare
Now we'll
Krishna, Prabhu. Uh,
yes.
uh, Fourth point was regularly hearing and chanting. What is the fifth one, Prabhu?
Worshipping a Vaishnava. So
Such.
how
Thank
we
you.
discussed, Prabhupada makes a point in the purport, Naisham Matis Tavad Urukramangi. We have to take the dust of Vaishnavas and every day do our own Abhishek, bathe in the dust. And that basically means we have to hear from Vaishnavas, we have to hear from a Guru, and then let that bathe our consciousness every day. Right? So that's how we serve Vaishnavas.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And 23 he'll continue. And whenever we talk of do's, then we have to talk of don'ts. Right? So 23 he'll talk of don'ts. Right? There's do's and don'ts, but he talks of important don'ts in 23.
Prabhu, I have one question. It sounds so much like pure Bhakti Yoga. It doesn't sound like Karma Mishra Bhakti. Like it's
No,
so
it's Gyan.
just so
Gyan.
same with pure devotees hearing, chanting. It's like pure. It sounds like pure Bhakti to me.
Yeah. So we will come to the point of Gyan in text 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is actually very. So first two verses is like entirely pure bhakti, and then it goes to like some aspects of Gyan. And then we'll see, because further in 27, 28, 29, we'll see how, and it'll come later, right? But yes, these aspects are what we are talking about is pure devotional service. And later on also, Sant Kumar will conclude with pure bhakti. So again, we'll get beautiful verses just talking of pure devotional service.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, this conversation happened after, like, Kumara's got the darshan of Lord, or is it before, like, in any sequence, Prabhu?
Before that, Jay and Vijay.
Yeah. Like, because they are talking about bhakti, is it, are they still in the mood of impersonal Brahman or another?
So let's see. So we have come from the lineage, so we can track it, right? So, we talk of Swayambhu Manu and
Yeah.
5 children, then coming in the lineage. So, which lineage are we following? From Uttanapad, Dhruva, right? We are following that lineage. We are coming to Prithu. We are
So,
still in the first Manvantara.
right.
And then when did that Jay and Vijay and the four Kumaras episode happen? That actually comes later.
Okay.
Because when does Varaha Dev come? The one who actually kills Hiranyaksha? He comes in the sixth Manvantara.
Oh,
Sixth Manvantara. So, one thing is, they are talking of pure devotional service here. So,
yeah.
so much is like not given to like, linear time. It's always like cyclic. So even you say like, oh yeah, they have knowledge from previous day of Brahma. Who knows? So and in which kalpa did that Jain Vijay and four Kumaras episode take place? Right? So as it appears here, they are talking of pure devotional service.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
23.
Artendriya Rama Sagoshtya Trishnaya Tat Sammatanam Aparigrahena cha Vivikta Ruchya Paritosha Atmani Vina Harer Guna Piyushapanat.
Hare Krishna. One has to make progress in spiritual life by not associating with persons who are simply interested in sense gratification and making money. Not only such persons, but one who associates with such persons should be avoided. One should mold his life in such a way that he cannot live in peace without drinking the nectar of the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari. One can thus elevate it by being disgusted with the taste of sense enjoyment. Hare Krishna.
So basically here we are continuing. The first point he says is Artha Indriya Arama Sagoshtya Atrishnaya. Atrishnaya. Atrishnaya, Prabhupada explains, reluctant. We are reluctant to associate with Sagoshti, right? Sagoshti. To associate with those people who have what? Arama. Arama means Aram karna, right? We say Arama. One who actually takes pleasure in what? Artha and Indriya. Artha means riches and Indriya means senses. Like, which is the other verse in Bhagavad Gita which talks of the same thing. The one who is interested in these two things, very difficult for him to progress in spiritual life.
Bhoga Aishwarya.
Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam, right? Bhoga Aishwarya. So same thing. Bhoga Aishwarya. So here it is. Aishwarya is Artha. Bhoga, the enjoying, is Indriya. Right? Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Parata Techasam. Vyavasatmika Bodhi Samadho Na Vidhyate. At one point it will not happen. So similarly here it is saying that those who are attached, arama, in Artha and Indriya, then one should be reluctant, Sagoshti. Right? We say Goshti is like Ishta Goshti, right? Having that. So one should be reluctant to associate with those people. That's first line. Second line, it says, Tat Samatanam Aparigrahena cha. Right? So it's interesting, it says, one should not accept their goals. So first line is don't associate with, reluctant to associate. Second is not associating with materialists or not accepting their goals. And Prabhupada makes us focus on this point. In the material world, the only objective that people have is to be Krishna conscious. No. The only objective people have is to make money and khao piyo mosh karo. That's it. Eat nicely, drink nicely, and enjoy life. Right? That, it's very common. People say, okay, finally, I just want to enjoy life, be happy. And then for that, get more money, get this, right? So only objective people have is, and then Prabhupada quotes 213, Nidraya Hirate Nattam, right? The whole night they sleep in sex, or a whole night is spent in sleep or sex, and whole day, Prabhupada says, they work as donkeys. We need like Prabhupada's speech to wake us up, Otherwise we are sleeping in the laps of the witch called Maya. So Prabhupada is waking us up. And the whole day we are working like donkeys. Night we are just sleeping. What is the purpose? Right? And then Prabhupada said, even religious people are interested only in sense gratification. Is it there in our path? Actually, for sadhakas, when we take up Krishna consciousness, that the deep-rooted desire to enjoy, it does not immediately go away. It takes time. So hence, when we come to devotional service also, which is our most famous devotional activity, prasada. Why? Because we need to enjoy. We want to enjoy our spiritual life. We want to see, okay, I will do this because there is fun in this. Oh, I'll go to Sunday feast because there's nice prasada. Who is cooking Sunday feast? Oh, this Prabhu is cooking. Let me go. So we are attached, and it is true. We are looking for happiness. But At least we are doing it in bhakti, But the point that Prabhupada is saying that even while we are doing spiritual activities, still the conception is that I want to enjoy bhakti. It's not that, okay, how can I please Krishna? That comes at a later stage, So Prabhupada makes a point that even released persons only interested in sense gratification. So actually we should really try to associate with those people who are engaging in devotional service just to please Guru, just to please Vaishnavas. That is the association we should desire, right? Then further he actually makes a point. So we should not accept the goals of those people, and it is very common. Like we work outside, and then when you're working outside, everyone has a goal. Okay, let's earn more money. Let's do this. And if you're just by associating, it is so easy to actually imbibe their goals. It's so you just be in a circle of materialistic. You have to go for a child's birthday party and surrounded by people who are not devotees, and so easy to just get their desire. And that's what Sant Kumar is warning us, that don't accept their goals. Right? Then third point he says, Vivikta Ruchya. Vivikta Ruchya means being disgusted with taste for sense enjoyment. You have to become disgusted. Like how Yamnacharya prays, Yad avadhi mad chitta padara vindayo, Nava rasa. And then what does he say in the last line? He says, whenever I think of sex pleasure, Prabhupada says, like you hear Prabhupada saying, he says, like my lips curl in distaste. Horrible. So that kind of distaste we have to develop with sense gratification. That, this is horrible. How many lifetimes I've just been engaging in this sense gratification, right? So that is being disgusted with taste for sense enjoyment, the third point. Fourth point, he says, Paritosha Atmani. One has to be satisfied in self. Is this practical? Yes, we have to be satisfied. Whatever situation, I was talking to another devotee yesterday, we were discussing this point that many times our mind goes that, okay, if my material situation changes, if I get this job, then I will go deeper in my bhakti. Then I'll start chanting 16 rounds. Then I'll start doing this. How many times we do it? Right? Only if I get the job, then I'll start doing it. Only if I move to so and so place, then I can practice bhakti. And the point we are discussing is the point of bhakti is we have to be satisfied in our current situation. And the only question we should ask is, right now, in my current situation, how can I serve Krishna? Not that, okay, let me change this then, or let so-and-so person become a devotee, then I can practice. That is in the future. We don't know what will happen or how Krishna's plan manifests there. So right now, therefore, Vivikta Rucha. Paritosha Atman, being satisfied. Whatever Krishna gives in the material realm, we are satisfied. And our only goal is, how can I serve Krishna? And the last one is Vina, very nice. Vina Harera Guna Piyusha Panat. Right? One should mold one's life in such a way that one cannot live in peace without Vina Harera Guna Piyusha. Piyusha means drinking. Just like if you don't drink water, like we fast Narasimha Chaturdashi or Pandava Nirjal Ekadashi, and then don't think about it, still we have some time. And then you have Panjam Nirjal Ekadashi, and you don't drink water. And then you can fast whole day, but if you don't have, and if you're drinking water, it's okay. But if you don't drink water, you do Nirjal, it's really your body is just one drop of water, right? And here it is said, our life should be like that. That without drinking Piyusha Pana, drinking the nectar of the Lord's qualities, we should not be in peace. Just like how we feel without drinking water, we feel thirsty, and we're similarly like that, our situation should be that without drinking Harikatha, our life should be like that. We should feel oh no, I didn't hear Krishna Katha today. Oh, just like how, on fasting we should feel like that. Oh, something is missing. I didn't hear Hari Katha. I didn't relish Krishna Katha. So, Vina Harera Guna Piyusha Pana. Mold one's life in such a way one cannot live without drinking the nectar of Harikatha. So again, 1, 2, 3, 5 points. Right? Don't associate with people who are arama, indriya, and artha. Then second, don't accept the goals of materialists. Then vivikta rucha, being disgusted with taste for sense enjoyment, being satisfied in the self, and then mold one's life in such a way one cannot live without hearing Harikatha, without drinking the nectar of Harikatha. Right? Okay. And then Prabhupada says, right. And Prabhupada in his purport, he quotes this section from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he actually quotes Mahaprabhu's instructions to Rupa Goswami. Right? So he says Lord Chaitanya also recommends this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. If one wants to advance in spiritual life, and the whole section is actually from Madhya Leela, chapter 19, text number 155. Right? 155 to 150, 151 to 155. Right? So where Mahaprabhu is speaking to Rupa Goswami, and what do you say? Satsva Brahmanda Brahmite Konya Bhagavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasad by Bhakti Lata Bija. First we have to get the Bhakti Lata. So Prabhupada said, by serving both spiritual master and Krishna, he gets the seed of Bhakti Lata. So first is Bhakti Lata Bij. And then once we get the Bhakti Lata Bij, then what should we become? Mali Hana Kare se Bij Aropan. You have to become a gardener and become a Mali, and Bij Aropan, you have to sow that seed in the heart. And then every day you have to water it. What is the water? Shavana, Kirtana, Jale, Kare, Sechana. By hearing and chanting, that's a watering process. And then once you water every day, then what happens? Upajiya Bade Lata Brahmanda Bhediya. Then the seed sprouts. And then, first we see what? 2 leaves. What are 2 leaves? What are 2 leaves? Who knows? What are the first 2 leaves of Bhakti Lata Bij?
Ratha.
Hearing.
Right, first 2 leaves. Hearing is we are watering the Bhakti Lata Bij.
Oh,
And then when the seed sprouts, then first we get 2 leaves, right?
back to Godlands.
The
Come on, basic.
yeah, our
Okay, everyone think. Wake up.
nectar of devotion. The 6 things that come with bhakti, right? Like the auspiciousness.
What are the first 2 leaves? Kleshagni, Shubhada. Kleshagni and Shubhada. So all our klesh are destroyed and Shubhada, auspiciousness, right? So these 2 are the first. So Upajaya Bade Lata Brahmanda Bhedi Yaya. So sweet sprouts become a creeper. So first 2 leaves come and then it grows into a creeper. And then Viraja Brahma Loke Bedi Paramuyoma. And then it grows, and then it penetrates the wall of the universe. It goes beyond the Viraja river, Brahman effulgence, and reaches the spiritual sky. Right? And then Tabe Yaya Tad Upari Goloka Vrindavan, and then it reaches Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna Charane Kalpa Vriksha Kare Aron, gets shelter of a desired tree of Krishna's lotus feet. Tahan Vishtarite Hana Fale Prema Phala Ihan Mali Seche Nitya Shravanadi Jala. So it produces what? Prema Phala. You get love for Krishna and remain in the material world. The gardener regularly, he does what? Shravanadi Jal. It's a great Vaisheshika Prabhu has this whole series of classes. He did it here, Shravanadi Jal. Very nice. Okay, everyone. So Prabhupada quotes this entire section from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. And Prabhupada makes this point. So what did we say? So real cause of growing of the fruit of bhakti is hearing Shravanadi Jal. And he says, one cannot live outside of the society of devotees. The purpose of Krishna conscious movement is a chance to hear, chant, accept the Guru, and disassociate with materially interested people. Right? I mean, imagine if there was no ISKCON society. Could we give up the association of materialistic people? No way. Right? So we cannot. So that's why Prabhupada says one cannot live outside of society of devotees. One should come to that point that only devotee association. This is my real life, right? And that's why in that fourth canto, Prabhupada says, to think that we can progress outside of ISKCON, outside of association of devotees means you're simply hallucinating. Okay, text number 24. Okay, everyone. So, the ultimate goal, ultimate benefit, detachment from bodily concept, attachment to the Lord. Then we're talking about predominance of bhakti, and then we talk of faith, Shraddhaya, Bhagavat, inquisitive, applying bhakti yoga, worshipping devotee, regularly hearing chanting, not associating with people who are interested in sense gratification and bhoga, aishwarya, then not accepting their goals, being disgusted with taste for sense enjoyment, being satisfied in the self, and molding one's life so that one cannot live without drinking the nectar of Krishna Katha. Okay, next verse.
Text 24. Ahimsaya paramahamsacharyaya smritya mukunda charitagrya siddhuna yamaira kamair nimiyaishchapya nindaya nirihaya dvandva titikshaya cha.
Hare Krishna. A candidate for spiritual advancement must be non-violent, must follow in the footsteps of great acharyas, must always remember the nectar of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, must follow the regulative principles without material desire, and while following the regulative principles, should not blaspheme others. A devotee should lead a very simple life and not be disturbed by the duality of opposing elements. He should learn to tolerate them.
Okay, so 7 more points. I mean, this is like how Nectar of Devotion is giving us a list of the activities of devotion. So this is kind of similar. So now Sanat Kumar gives 7 more points in his verse. First is what? Ahimsa. You have to be non-violent. So Prabhupada makes a point. The first sadhu of first qualification of sadhu is titikshava karunika. Right? So we have to be tolerate personal injury and then be compassionate to others. Right? So and then Prabhupada says this ahimsa, right, means not only human beings but all living entities. And Prabhupada says, well, it does not claim only Son of God. And okay, that's the next point actually. Okay, yeah. I mean, Prabhupada says the whole world is full of violence, and devotee's first business is to stop this violence, including the unnecessary slaughter of animals. A devotee is a friend not only of human beings but to all living entities, for he sees all living entities as son of the Supreme. Right? He does not claim that only I am the son of God and I can kill all animals. No, that is not accepted. So first is being non-violent, ahimsa. Second point is paramahamsaya charyaya. We have to follow in the footsteps of Paramahamsa. Right? So how can you practice bhakti? Only when you follow in the footsteps of great acharyas. To think that one can progress outside the disciplic succession is simply ludicrous. That means that you cannot progress. Right? Acharyavan purusho veda. Right? Only tad vijnanatham sa gurum eva vikachet. We have to. It says one must accept the guru. One must follow in the footsteps of Acharya. Otherwise, there is no way to progress. Third point, smritya mukunda acharita agra siddhuna. Siddhuna means nectar. So we have to do smritya. Smritya means very important. Prabhupada says the whole Shastra is based on only 2 instructions. What is that? Entire Shastra is just, the whole essence is actually just based on 2 things. What is that?
Developing our love to God.
And second? So 2 points is, yes, finally a goal is depth of love, but when you see the 2 points is smartavya satatam Vishnu, vismartavya na chatushe. Sarve nidhi. So all the rules and regulations, everything in the Shastra is just for these 2. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Vismartavya na jatushe. Sarve vidhi nishayadu. All rules and regulations is just for this. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So to always remember the smritya purpose is very important. We have to remember Krishna. We have to remember Krishna. So mold our life in such a way that one cannot remain alone without thinking of Krishna. While eating, while sleeping, while working, we have to see how can the Hari, the holy name, keep going on. How can Hari Katha going on while eating, while sleeping, while chanting, right? While doing any activity, while walking, we're always connecting with Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, continuously 24 hours a day. I mean, sometimes we see devotees like even at night, they're sleeping, but they're like Hare Krishna, like they're chanting even while sleeping. So, I mean, that happens like especially like when you're in sadhu sangha retreat, because the whole day you're chanting. So even in sleep, like you'll be like chanting Hare Krishna, like you'll be singing some melody that you really like, even sleep, right? So Prabhupada says smritya. Smritya means to actually have that, always remembering Krishna, remembering, having always chanting the holy name. So smritya mukunda acharita. Mukunda acharita. Mukunda is Krishna, and acharita is the pastimes of the Lord, right? So remembering and tasting the sweetness, the nectar of the excellent pastimes of the Lord, right? So third point. Fourth point is yamer akamer niyamahi, right? Acha api. So one should also practice yam niyam without material desires, right? So, so for us, like for in bhakti, Prabhupada focuses on that one should strictly follow rules and regulations, right? That means controlling the senses and do not desire sense gratification. Then next is anindaya. This is a nice point. Not criticizing others and their methods of religion. I mean, this is common that sometimes, we just like start criticizing other people. Like, yes, okay, whatever we say something, okay, Christians, you may say like, why do they simply eat meat, and what kind of religion is that allows them to kill innocent animals? All those flaws are there, right? But still, even in Christians, there are some sincere people who have some, they're practicing for so many years, there must be something they feel, some connection with Jesus Christ, right? So here it says earn in there, do not criticize others. We may find out that okay, their philosophy is so and so, but don't criticize a person, right? So not criticize other methods. Different types of religious systems are operating under different modes of nature, right? Where do we see this? Which section does Krishna explain this? In Bhagavad Gita, in the 17th chapter, if you see, Krishna says that according to the modes of nature, one's faith can be in three kinds: goodness, passion, ignorance. And he says like, based on the modes he's connecting, he actually develops his shraddha based on that. So men in goodness, they worship demigods; men in passion, they worship demons; men in ignorance, they worship ghosts and spirits. So those who undergo severe austerity and penances, not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body, as well as the super soul dwelling within. Okay, so anyway, that further. So instead of criticizing, we'll encourage followers to stick to their principles, and gradually they'll come to the platform of goodness. You see this in perfect example of Srila Prabhupada. Everyone has heard like Srila Prabhupada talking to Christians in those conversations. And what does he say? Like, first of all, he points out about like killing animals. That is like a very common theme with Christians. But then he says, okay, if you're a Christian, be a good Christian. Be a good Christian. Really follow the instructions of Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ said, thou shalt not kill. So be a good Christian. So you see Prabhupada's mood? Like, he is actually encouraging them. Okay, if that is your thing, okay. You're attached to Christianity, okay, be a good Christian. Right? Simply criticizing agitate our own mind. And this is so true that I have seen like certain devotees, they have this like against a particular religion. and they actually, talk about like, oh, this religion, they do this and do this and this, and we just kill, destroy this whole thing, and like they are taking over all those things. And whose mind is agitated? Our own mind is agitated. So why simply criticize? Why simply criticize? So that's the point Prabhupada says. So anindaya. Right? Then nirihaya, simple living, high thinking. Right? So simple living, nirihaya. And then dvanda titikshaya, tolerating the dualities of this world. Right? So Prabhupada says nirihaya means simple living, high thinking, accept only so much to keep body fit together. Right? And balance our eating. We eat for living, not live for eating. Right? I mean, it's very common that people live for eating. I mean, I know people who have that. They're so, what is the right word? Like always conscious of like, oh, let's go here. We can eat this and we can eat this. And what's for lunch? What's for breakfast? Oh, for lunch we'll cook this. And you live just for eating. But that's not right. We live for eating. Oh, we eat to live. So Prabhupada makes the point, eat for living. Like just what is required to keep the body fit, just focus on that. So we have the balance. And then Prabhupada explains the last point, and he says, dvanda titikshaya. Right? And he says, as long we have the body, there will be dualities. It will be very hot, very cold. All those dualities will be there. But what one should learn to do? Titikshaya. Just tolerate them. Just tolerate. Okay. Next verse 25.
हरेर्मुहुस्तत् परकर्णपुरा गुणाभिधानेन विजृम्भमानया भक्त्या यसङ्गा सरसत्यनात्मनि स्यान्निर्गुणे भ्रमणि चान्द्रसारथिः.
Hare Krishna. The devotees should gradually increase the cultural devotional service by constant hearing of the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These pastimes are like ornamental decoration on the ears of devotees. By rendering devotional service and transcending the material qualities, one can easily be fixed in the transcendence in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
So see how again this point is mentioned, and also it says harer muhu. Muhu means constantly. Constantly we have to do what? Harer muhu tatpara karnapura. Karnapura means an ornament to the ear. Our hearing of Krishna Katha should be an ornament to the ear, right? And how something like now it's common. You see people, they always have like one iPod, what's it called? Earpod, right? And that's like become a part of the ear. I mean, it's so common. Everyone, they have like big this or something. They always keep hearing. And for us, we should always, our ornament of the ear should be muhu, always, constantly hearing the glories of the Lord. Right? So, because this hearing is so important, that again, Satkumar mentioned, didn't he actually start the whole thing by hearing? Right? And then, Nityam Punya Shava Kathaya Punyaya, we should hear regularly in text 22. Again, he's making the point. We should hear to show how important is hearing. And then because when we hear, then what happens? Then Vijrimbhanaya, right? So that actually means, Prabhupada explains, by increasing Krishna consciousness. So devotees should gradually increase the culture of constant hearing. And we should think, okay, last year in Krishna consciousness, how much time was I actually spending in hearing? This year, or why year, we could say last month, how much time did I spend hearing Krishna? This month, how much? Or every day, it should be, hence that word is used, which is ever increasing, right? You have to always keep increasing. How we can increase our hearing of Krishna? How can increase this hearing of Krishna Katha? And then, if we do that, bhaktya hi asanga. Then by bhakti, one develops detachment from matter and attachment to the Lord. Right? So again, the word here, ratihi, is explained. Right? The whole discussion is how we can develop a rati for Krishna. So here it is actually mentioned, by engaging in these activities, one will develop attachment, rati, to the Lord. And particularly, the main item is hearing. Asanga basically means uncontaminated. Sat asat, the material world. Detachment, anatmani, opposed to spiritual understanding. So basically, we should be. So Prabhupada says these person, okay, by running devotional and transcending the material qualities. So sat asat of this material world, we have to become uncontaminated by the dualities of this material world, which are actually anatmani, opposed to spiritual understanding. So we have to hear Krishna Katha, give up the dualities of this material world. And then Anjasa means easily one develops rati to Brahmani, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so basically here, increased propensity for devotional service by hearing. The more we hear, the more we advance in devotional service. The more we advance, the more we become detached. And more we become detached, the more we lose interest in sense gratification. And more we lose interest in sense gratification, more we become increase in our attachment to Krishna. So it's a chain. Starts off with hearing. More we hear, more we advance. More we advance, more we become detached. More we become detached, more we lose interest in sense gratification. And then hence our increase our attachment in Krishna. And then Prabhupada also quotes this verse, Nishkinchanasya bhagavad bhajonmukasya param param jigimasya bhavasagarasya sandarshanam vishayanam atha yoshitam cha ha hanta hanta vishabhakshanatu apya asadu. So CC Madhya 11.8, where it actually says, greatly lamenting. Who speaks this verse? Who even knows? Mahaprabhu, when does he speak this verse? Think. 11th chapter of Madhya Leela. What is happening? Everyone wake up.
Maharaj Prataparudra.
Yes, Maharaj Pratap. So when devotees come and ask Mahaprabhu, you should meet Maharaj Pratap. He's a great devotee. And then what does Mahaprabhu say? He quotes this verse. And he says what? He says the Lord informs, actually Sarvabhattacharya, he comes and he requests, oh, Mahaprabhu, you shouldn't meet this person. The king really wants to meet. And he says, alas, for a person who's seriously desiring to cross the material ocean and engage in transcendental loving service to the Lord without material desire, seeing a materialist engage in sense gratification, or someone who's interested in women, is abominable, like drinking poison willingly. Right? So Mahaprabhu is making the point that that kind of association is like drinking poison willingly. And Prabhupada also talks about this word Brahmani. He says sometimes Brahmani, one may say, is an impersonal Brahmajyoti. But he says that cannot be true because the word guna is there. Guna means qualities. So when you talk of the qualities, then how can it be Brahmani? It has to be the Supreme Personality of God. Right? So this is actually referring to Bhagwan himself. Bhagavantita tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam apya brahmeti paramanveti Bhagwan. So because when you talk of qualities, we are referring to a personality. So hence it's talking of devotional service, hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, text 26.
Yada ratir brahmani naishtiki puman acharyavan jnana viragaram hasa. Dahatya viryam hridayam jivakosham panchatmakam yonim ivotitogni.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Mataji. Upon being fixed in his attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the grace of the spiritual master and by awakening knowledge and detachment, the living entity situated within the heart of the body and covered by the five elements burns up his material surroundings exactly as fire arising from wood burns the wood itself. Hare Krishna.
So now it's talking about Yada Rati Brahmani. So when one develops attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Naishtiki, one becomes attached to that, attached to the Supreme Personality. Then what happens? How does it happen? First of all, Acharyavan. Only by the grace of the Supreme, of the Acharya, of the spiritual master, one develops Rati. How can we develop Rati? By all the previous processes. But how can we develop all these previous processes? Only by the mercy of a Guru. Right? Then, this does what? Dahati. Dahati means it burns away. And what does it burn away? Aviryam jiva kosham. Right? It actually burns away the subtle body of the jiva. And the subtle body is made of what?
Mind, false ego, and intelligence.
Yes. So mind, intelligence, false ego. So basically here is saying it burns up the impotent subtle body, aviryam, which is actually made of ahankar, kosham, right? Which is covered with ahankar. And how does that happen? How does the burning happen? By force of ramasa, by force of gyan and vairagya. Right? Example, just like fire has heat and light, so similarly, by engaging in previous activities, one develops gyan, knowledge, and detachment, and by the force of gyan and vairagya, it actually destroys our subtle body. And this pancha atmakam is actually means what? The 5 coverings. What are the 5 coverings over each one of us? What's it?
The 5 elements, right?
Okay. So if you consider the gross body, then you can say the 5 elements. But here we are talking about the subtle body. So subtle body, what are the 5 elements? Ignorance, ego, attachment, hatred, absorption. Right? The 5 kinds of ignorance we read earlier in the 3rd canto, 5 kinds of ignorance. So those 5 are, so Pancha Atmakam can refer to both. So it destroys earth, water, fire, air, ether, and also destroys ignorance, ego, attachment, hatred, absorption, and death. Right? So just as fire arising from a kindling stick burns the fire itself. Right? So when you, in a wood, there is fire, but the fire can burn the wood itself. Similarly, that bhakti inside, when it develops, when we're engaging in all these activities, it burns away the subtle body, right? Right. So attachment for the Lord in the material, burns the subtle body itself. So Prabhupada in the purport says, unless one takes shelter of a guru, right, all this will happen only by the grace of a guru. So unless one takes shelter of a guru, and here clearly it says acharyavan, right, only by a guru, then one can advance in attraction to Krishna, and the 5 coverings will get burned. Advanced devotee, he does not live within the material body, but within spiritual body. Right? This example of dry coconut we have discussed few times. Right? When the coconut is there, right, the pulp is attached to the skin, attached to the shell, right? And then once you wait for the coconut to dry, then what happens? It detaches. It is still inside the shell, but it's separate. Right? Similarly, the spirit soul, even though it is within this covering, it is still, it becomes separate. So advanced body, though he lives within the material body, but actually he is not attached to the material body. Even though he is within, he does not even feel the activities of the material body. So his body itself becomes spiritualized. And Prabhupada quotes, Iha yasya hare dasya karmana manasa nikila api avasato jivan mukta so uchate. Even in this body, one can become jivan mukta. So liberation is not at the end of the body, even within the body. Within this lifetime, one actually can become liberated. The body itself can become spiritualized. Everyone following?
Yes, Prabhu.
So burn, what is the result of practicing all the previous things?
The subtle body coverings will be dissolved.
The subtle body itself is burnt away.
These 5 are coverings of the subtle body.
Yeah.
Ignorance, false ego. Touch.
Prabhu, so the subtle body covering source of this thing like that moha, tama, anda, tamishra, that right?
Yes, yes.
Same.
And I could just remember three, Prabhu. Do you remember?
Was that?
I could remember only three: moha, tamas, and anda, tamishra. Can you give me the Sanskrit of the last two?
Let's see. So which one did you say? Moha, right? Which one did you mention, Mati?
Moha, tama,
So tamaha, moha, mahamoha,
moha, moha,
tamishram,
tamishram, and anda, tamishram.
and tamishram.
Prabhuji, what are the meanings of moha, tama, mahamoha, tamishra, and the tamishra?
Yes. So it is there in third canto. Chapter number is 12 or 11. Let's see. Chapter 12. See the text 2. 3:12:2. Tamaha is the darkness of self-knowledge or self-deception. Moha is our illusory bodily concept. We forget our real identity. Mahamoha is then we have proprietorship. This is mine, my property, right? Then tamishram is anger upon frustration, right? When enjoyment is obstructed. And under tamishram is the fear coming from death.
Fear coming from death.
3:12:2.
Thank you.
Okay, any other points? Okay, up to this point, because now we are talking the result of doing the activities. Okay, mention one point that we remembered, that you remembered from this whole section. One point that Sanat Kumar actually said. Maybe we can think of one point that you want to practically focus on in your spiritual life. Everyone, quickly unmute.
Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna.
Okay, that's the ultimate of all. Okay.
Always hear about Krishna. Hear from Guru. To serve the Guru means to hear his Vani.
Yes, to serve the Vaishnavas means to actually hear from the Vaishnavas. Okay, next. Rohini Prabhu.
And we can increase our devotional service by hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Realized souls like you.
You have to hear from people who are Nishkinchananam, Prabhupada says, who have no more attachment to this material world. And then also, how should we hear? What was the word that we discussed? Vijim, what's that? What was that?
Vijrimbha
Yeah, Vijrimbha Banaya.
Manaya. By increasing Krishna consciousness.
By increasing. So every time I have to see, am I increasing my Harikatha? You know. How much time am I spending every day in hearing Harikatha? You know, am I increasing that? Our goal is to constantly come to the stage of as much as possible we are hearing Harikatha. Okay, anything else?
Plain living and high thinking, Prabhu.
Okay.
And we should not criticize other religions because it disturbs our mind.
Yes, very nice points. Don't criticize other religions and plain living and high thinking. Mohan Prabhu.
Yeah, we should remember Nirjal, Pandav Nirjal every day without. We should feel that, if we don't hear Harikatha, we should feel.
Yeah, very nice point. That just like on Nirjal Ekadashi, how our body feels without water, similarly we should feel like that without hearing Harikatha. Very nice. Any other points?
Another practical point is Prabhuji tolerance.
Tolerance.
These circumstances.
Tolerance. That the dualities, as long as the body is there, there'll be dualities. There'll be heat, cold, there'll be ups and downs. You have to learn to tolerate.
So, Prabhuji, I have a question. I said, try not to associate with the material people, then we easily get their goals as our goals.
Yes.
How practical it is, Prabhuji. We always work and we work with people, outside people.
Yeah,
I mean,
but we don't have to, make their goals as our goals.
but if they are like advancing, so we feel like, oh, this person is nice, he's progressing materially as well. So we feel like attracted to them, like, sometimes.
Yeah, so that's the whole point, that we shouldn't like if you're feeling that, oh, he's progressing, even I should do this, then I mean, that's the whole point, that is saying that, don't associate with their goals. Their goals is what? Okay, now I am so and so position. Next, I want to become manager. Then I want to become the CEO. I want to become this. I want to become have my own business. Like, that's why the point. What was it for devotees? Be satisfied. Be satisfied. Like, okay, that doesn't mean that we don't work hard, but we do our part. We try to do our best, but don't make it like, oh, my goal is I have to become a CEO of this company. You do the part of like, okay, I am working sincerely, I am doing my best, but I am doing it to please Krishna. If promotion comes, okay, thank you. If promotion does not come, okay, whatever. I will continue doing my best for Krishna. And I'm working hard. I am, whatever is required for my job, okay, maybe I need to up my skill in so and so, okay, we'll do it. But our intention, why am I doing all this? Because Krishna is my boss, I'm working only to please Krishna. And then Krishna will decide whether that promotion is really good for you or not. So it's often that people get promoted, and then after they get promoted, their anxieties increase, and they get so busy that no time for Krishna consciousness. I mean, it's common that you get a big promotion, and then all of a sudden it's like so much more responsibilities. And then even while chanting, you're thinking like, oh, this person, okay, maybe I have to, how should I do the project? Maybe assign this to this, and then maybe this will do that. And while chanting, you're thinking of this. Is that really anukul to your bhakti? May not be. So that's why, like, do our best. And that's even Krishna told Arjun, like, okay, you have to shoot, you have to fight, you have to do it nicely. So do our best. But don't say that, okay, yes, I want to become, like, they want to become CEO, they want to go to this position. I mean, in work, there's always this politics, and this person will try to, like, say, oh, go to the boss and say, oh, no, see what I have done, see this on my thing. All they are interested, okay, this promotion. We don't need to aspire. That doesn't mean that we don't, like, okay, they're, you did something and someone else is taking credit and you keep quiet. That doesn't even mean that. We have to be smart in the outside world also, like how Prabhupada used to quote the
Protect
story.
ourselves as well.
Hmm?
We have to protect ourselves as well outside, right, Prabhuji? Defend ourselves.
Like how Prabhupada gave the story of that snake. When the snake became a devotee, then the children started throwing stones at the snake. Why? Because it stopped biting, it stopped. Then people say, oh, useless snake. Then it started hurting. And then Narad Muni came to a snake and he said, like, why you are not happy in Krishna consciousness?
Yeah.
And snake said, because they're throwing stones. And Narad Muni said, what? I told you not to bite, but I did not tell you cannot show your fangs.
Yeah. I think
So we have to be smart in the outside world. We have to do our part, be smart, but don't be attached to the promotion, this, that goal. I have to become this. My salary should be so and so. Like, don't be attached to all those things. Krishna will give. He will see what is best for us. He will give. So being satisfied that yes, Krishna will give the result. I will do my best. Leave the rest to Krishna. Okay.
It is like increasing in the material prison house, increasing the comfort level, right? I have a better, bigger prison room for myself, better than the other prisoners, instead of getting out of the prison. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Anything else?
how do we identify them, Prabhuji? How do we know they are material attached? I should not associate. I mean, we know our gurus, acharyas, Krishna Katha. We know we should associate it with them. But if we see good qualities in others, how do we know? How do we differentiate? They are material people. We should
I
not.
mean, see, when we see good qualities in others, yes, we appreciate their good qualities, no doubt about that. But how do you know who's a Vaishnava?
Yeah.
One who's chanting the glories of the Lord, one who's engaged in bhakti. That's our whole thing.
Associate only with them.
Yeah, associate with people who are really interested to progress in bhakti. Who are always thinking, how can I do the Vrijimbanaya? How can I increase my bhakti? How can I go deeper? Associate with those people. And if you are with those people, then you will feel, wow, okay, he's increasing his reading. He or she is chanting more. I should do this. I should do this. That's the kind of association. Right? We shouldn't have any question about that. We should be like, yes, this is it. We know Vaishnavas, right? We know which Vaishnavas inspire us. So associate with them. Outside world, everyone if they are not connected to Krishna, if they are not practicing bhakti, then yeah, we may appreciate their material qualities. We won't criticize them, but we know who to associate with. That association should inspire us in our sadhana, in our bhakti.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
On that note, I remember what Srila Prabhupada said. Are you giving your association to them, or are you taking their association and changing your mind?
Yes. We are with them, but we try to give our association to them. Okay. So, anything else? Okay, so let's see, 8:44, right? Okay, let's do one more verse, and then so we finished 26. So 26 was burning a subtle body. It's 27. What happens when the subtle body is destroyed?
Dagdhashayo mukta samasta tadguno naivatmano bahirantarvichaste paratmanoryad vyavadhanam purustat swapne yatha purushastad vinashe.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When a person becomes devoid of all material desires and liberated from all material qualities, he transcends distinctions between actions and executed externally and internally. At that time, the difference between the soul and the supersoul, which was existing before self-realization, is annihilated. When a dream is over, there is no longer a distinction between the dream and the dreamer. Hare Krishna.
So what is the result of the subtle body being destroyed? So here it says, Dagda asya mukta, with destruction of the subtle body, and mukta, getting liberated, what happens? Samasta tad gunana, one becomes freed of all qualities in connection with matter. One becomes free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. Right? That's first point. Then he transcends the distinctions between bahi and antaha. Bahi means external, antaha means internal. So what does it mean that he transcends bahi? He no longer sees sense objects as objects for pleasure. That is bahi. Internal, he gives up the mood of shoka, moha, right? Lamentation, illusion, other internal effects. He gives up all those things. Right? So that is, he transcends the actions externally and internally. Understood, everyone? Antaha and bahi. Right? So bahi is sense pleasure, sense objects. He gives it up. Antaha is lamentation, right? Sochati, kankshati, he gives all that up. So bahi and anta he gives up. Then third point is atmanaha para atmanaha vyadaha. No. So he actually no longer sees a difference between the atma and paramatma. I mean, is that Mayavadi? Is that But here it actually point is he no longer sees any obstacles between the atma being an instrument of the Paramatma. Like how Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter says, one who can control the mind, he is directly in contact with Paramatma. That becomes his situation. There is no like a obstacle between the Paramatma and the Atma. The Paramatma directly speaks to the Atma, gives instructions to the Atma. So there is no longer that distinction. Right? And then the example is given, Swapne Yatha Purusha Vinashay. So when the dream is over, you wake up. There is no longer a distinction is there between the dream and the dreamer. Right? Like in the dream, you have seen that I am so and so. Once you wake up, it's like, what dream, what dreamer? Like there is no distinction there. Right? So just like that, no distinction left between the soul and the super soul. Okay, everyone? So Prabhupada in the purport says, Anya Bhilasita Sunyam. He said, this is what happens, right? One reaches a stage, one should be devoid of Anya Abhilash. No material desires. Even that of Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. So we become free from Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, right? The coverings of Jnana and Karma, speculative knowledge and fruitive activity. And again, Prabhupada gives the example of a coconut. A coconut is dry, gets loosened. Right? So we're within the body, but we have no interest in those objects that give pleasure to the senses. Right? And then Prabhupada quotes 2.10.6, famous verse Prabhupada quotes often, Mukti hitvanita rupan swarupena vyavastitihi. Mukti means what? To be situated in an original constitutional position. That means we are in touch with the Paramatma always. We know how to act as an instrument of Paramatma. And then Prabhupada says, in conditions say there are two kinds of activities, the bodily activities and acts to become liberated, right? Now, in above state, one transcends the duality of action for the body and soul. So there is no distinction for actions for sense gratification and actions for liberation. This is a stage of oneness or merging into Supreme Personality of Godhead. So basically here, we may have two lives. One is our life where we are like, okay, doing something for our senses. One is activities of Krishna consciousness. We are trying to chant, we are trying to read, all those activities. But as you progress in bhakti, there is no distinction. Every activity we do will be an activity for devotion service. We are eating, we are not eating anymore. What are we doing? We are honoring Krishna Prasadam. We are taking bath, but what are we doing? No, we are purifying the temple of the Lord. Every activity becomes Krishna conscious activity. No distinction remains. Right? So that is the stage that is talked about. Example, one comes out of a dream, the dream vanishes. Similarly, there is no distinction between the dream body and the self, and similarly, no distinction between the soul and the super soul. This is true oneness, where we are maintaining our individuality, but we are one with the super soul. Okay? So, Ratnanaga, you asked a question of why this actually is Gyan Mrishya Bhakti. Yes, all the activities what we talked about is actually limbs of bhakti, but then what is the result coming to? It is actually more towards Shanta. It is the mood of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually elaborates, and he says, in one of these commentaries, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur elaborates and says, he says, let's see, which is that verse? Okay, maybe after the break I'll point it out. But one of his commentary, he actually explains the point that how this is what Sanat Kumar is saying. Yes, he's talking of limbs of bhakti, but he's pointing out more towards the Shanta Rasa, that you get the liberation of attaining Shanta. And that Shanta, and we'll talk about this towards the end also, when we compare Gyan Mrishya Bhakti versus Bhakti Mrishya Gyan and versus pure Bhakti. And he talks about the three different results of each. And here the focus is on the Shanta Rati. So hence this is the Gyan Mrishya. So, this one way says that how important is the goal when we are practicing bhakti. If our goal is, so what is our goal in Krishna consciousness? What's our goal in Krishna consciousness? Why are we doing what we are doing in Krishna consciousness?
Go back to
Love
God.
Krishna.
Is it going back to Godhead?
Love Krishna.
Love for Krishna. Love.
Serving Krishna. Dasanudas.
Still not complete.
Krishna Prem.
Samsiddhim Haritoshanam.
Still not complete.
Samsiddhim Haritoshanam.
That's the process.
Okay.
The difference between process and goal, and that should be very clear that the process is not the goal. What is our goal?
Lovingly serve Krishna. Devotional service.
Okay, still more specific.
So I'm thinking Amaro Virakuvi Joitsa Tomar.
I mean, that's a faith, okay?
Yeah, I mean to say like your desire is my desire. I think that.
Doubted?
So, see, our goal has to be really specific.
To serve in our own Savrupa, whatever is our
Our
Savrupa.
goal has to be very specific, and particularly for us, our goal is Krishna Prem, but we have to be really specific, following the footsteps of Mahaprabhu. Our goal is Krishna Prem, following in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. That is our specific goal, following the Mahaprabhu. Like your goal, you could be engaged in the limbs of bhakti, but your goal could be Shantarati. And that's what is the point here. That though all the activities what we read are actually pure devotional service, but if your goal is Shantarati, then that is not pure bhakti. It is Gyanamrishya bhakti. Yeah. So how important is goal? Like you may be chanting your rounds, but if your goal is Shantarati, then it is Gyanamrishya bhakti.
Prabhuji, in other words, you are saying that Madhurya Rasa.
Again, in Madhurya, we are very specific.
So there are subtle stages. Yeah.
Right? Because Mahaprabhu, what is he giving us? He is giving us that mood of following the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. And that's very, very specific. But my point is that our goal needs to be very clear. And if we are engaging bhakti with the correct goal, like, the Ramana Raya and Mahaprabhu conversation. Right? I mean, Mahaprabhu is asking Ramana Raya, what is the goal? And then what does Ramana Raya say? Sarva dharma padija mamekam shanam vaja. And Mahaprabhu says, that's not the goal. I mean, come on, that's the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And Mahaprabhu is saying, no, that's not the goal. Varnashram, no, that's not the goal. Yat karosi yadasana, no, that's not the goal. And then finally, where Mahaprabhu brings, when he says, comes upon Gyane Prayasam Udaprasam Antavya Jivanti Samari Haritam Bhavadiya what is it at that one point? Gyane Prayasam Udaprasam Namanta Eva Jivanti Sanmukritam Bhavadiya Vartam Stane Stita Stuti Gatam Tanuva Manuve Ye Prayaso Jita Ajito Api Tarisya Alo. That Lord which is unconquerable will be conquered. That kind of bhakti. Then Mahaprabhu says, yes. Okay, this is good, but go higher, go higher, go higher. And finally, Mahaprabhu gives him to that specific. And that chapter is basically really telling us what is our goal. Sarva dharma pratija is not our goal. Liberation is certainly not our goal. What is our real goal? My point is like, the more as we progress in bhakti, the more our goal is specific, then our bhakti will be directed towards a specific goal. If you are engaging in bhakti and a goal is Shantarati, then it is actually not pure. But I mean, it could be the bhakti which is actually talked about here, which is Gyanamrishya bhakti. Anyway, a little bit more detailed point, but I hope that's okay.
So, Prabhuji, our goal is Krishna Prema in the footsteps of Vraj Gopis, following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions. Right?
Yes, following in the footsteps of Gopis of Vrindavan. Yes.
Prabhu, Mahaprabhu is just not giving, I mean, of course, he is giving the highest Parakim, but any devotee is there, as in we see in Mahaprabhu's pastimes, as devotees are in every, every relationship with Krishna, including Murari Gupta, who is in even Ayodhya, way down. So just to say that Mahaprabhu is only giving Parakya um, is it correct? Like Mahaprabhu is giving everything, including Parakya which was never Anarpita Chalancharat, right? But to say that, say like all of us who are in Krishna consciousness, by in the under the shelter of Mahaprabhu, is all of us should not artificially impose, right? That I want to be exclusively in Parakya, no other form. But we have not yet fixed in our Sai Bhav how forget Sai Bhav. We're not even across Anatha and everything.
Yeah. I mean, that was a little high, but I was making the point that our goal has to be very specific. And to your point, like actually, if you see Mahaprabhu's reason for descent, why did he really come? To repay the debt to the gopis of Vrindavan. And how is he repaying? By actually giving conditioned souls that kind of prema so that they can serve the gopis, and by that Krishna's debt will be fulfilled. So finally Mahaprabhu is giving this, but the jiva still has independence, and he may say, okay, I am practicing this, but my goal is so and so. So that's not, but Mahaprabhu is giving us this, and that's the whole essence of his appearance. But someone may say, okay, I want to become, as you mentioned, some other rasa, and okay. Can someone chant Hare Krishna and go to Vaikuntha? Sure. Right. That's what he wants to do, I think. He's chanting Hare Krishna in ISKCON society, but if he wants, that's his goal, he'll go to Vaikuntha. So Mahaprabhu is giving us this, but the jivas have their own inclination, and they may choose, have that particular goal in their Krishna consciousness. Okay.
Prabhuji Guru Maharaj was saying that our goal is to give pleasure to Krishna and Guru, and which pastime gives most pleasure to Krishna? The rasa dance, right? The two circles, concentric circles on the left foot of Krishna. So, yeah.
And now I think we are going beyond our scope of discussion. My whole point here is the goal has to be clear in our mind. And the goal. And at least okay, let's not go so high, but at least our goal of which Krishna do you want to develop love for? At least Nanda Krishna. I'm following Mahaprabhu's footsteps. But goal has to be very clear. That's the whole point. Okay, so we'll stop here and we'll continue with text number 28. Oh, 20. Yeah, 28 will complete. 29. Okay, so quickly take a 5 minutes break and we'll continue. Okay, thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. So 9:05 we can meet again.
Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, everyone come back. So let's continue. Text 28.
Text 29, right?
28.
Abhishek, can I ask you one question before we move on to 29? On 28,
28, yeah.
we saying that this is perfect conception of oneness in relation to the Supreme and the soul. So does it mean that Santarasa? I'm a little got mixed up. The last sentence, Nityo Nityanam Chaitana Chaitananam, and then it says this is the perfect conception of oneness in relation to the Supreme.
Super soul and so on. Yeah, so basically, like here, the whole point is when the subtle body disappears, like that is the burning of the subtle body,
Right.
then one does not see a distinction between the soul and the super soul. That means what the super soul's desire is for the soul, that's what the soul does. There's no like, okay, I'm acting for myself, and then this activity is for the super soul. There is no distinction. Like Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter, what does Krishna say? When the mind is controlled, the jiva can directly communicate with the super soul. That state where the jiva is directly communicating with the super soul, that is the oneness, because now the jiva knows how to act based on the super soul's instruction. So that is the oneness. So it is not oneness of merging, that is not the oneness. It is oneness of the jiva acting in line with to the super soul's direction. Is that your question? So
Right,
that
right.
is the perfect position for the jiva, to always be an instrument of the will of the Paramatma.
So what kind of realization is this? Like super soul realization? That's what it is.
Yes, Paramatma realization is there, but the point, why is it called Shantarati? Because in Shantarati one connects with the Paramatma. That stage is also an aspect of Shantarati.
Paramatma realization.
Yeah.
But Paramatma also has form, right? Like we read in
Yeah.
Bhagavatam, like
Yeah.
four-handed.
So we are not talking of any impersonalism here.
Okay.
We're not even talking of not Brahman realization.
Right.
We are going beyond, and yes, we are connecting with the Paramatma here. Like the whole focus here, even in the next few verses, we'll see where Sanat Kumar will talk about like how one sees the Paramatma. One is directly in touch with the Paramatma. He'll see Paramatma in everyone's heart.
Right.
That stage we are talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
So maybe 28, 29 will make it more clear. Okay, 28.
Atmanam indriyartham cha param yad ubhayorapi satyashaya ubhadho vai puman pashyati nandaya.
When the soul exists for sense gratification, he creates different desires, and for that reason he becomes subjected to designations. But when one is in the transcendental position, he is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So here is clearly the distinction. So Atmanam means a soul. There are two things a soul can do, right? One is Indriya Artham. When the soul is just existing for sense gratification, right? And the soul is in the body, and all the jiva wants is to enjoy the senses. And why is that? Because there is ashay. Ashay means there is hope for enjoyment of material desire. And why are material desire? Because there are so many designations. I am so and so. Hence, I want to enjoy so and so. Right? So all that is one situation of the soul. But here it says Atmanam Param. But one is in transcendental position. Then what is his position? What is his vision? Puman Pashyati na anyada. Right? He sees na anyada. He no longer sees otherwise. That means no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desire of the Lord. Okay? So, Arundhati Mataji, this is better. Like, so what is this verse saying? That the jiva no longer interested in doing anything except fulfilling. So that is, the Paramatma is directly speaking to the jiva, right? So there is no distinction anymore. So this is that position of oneness, right? And the subtle body is basically an imposition on jiva. And when the subtle body exists, one sees the subtle body, and when it's absent, one is directly in touch with the Paramatma. So na anyata. Right? So Prabhupada explains that due to false ego, ahankar, because of ahankar we have false identification, we identify with so many kinds of bodies, therefore we have material desires, and because there are so many material desires, we think ourselves as a master of enjoyer, we act for sense gratification, and then we are entangled with the cycle of happiness and distress. Right? Now, on the other side, one is devoid of distinctions between matter and spirit. He envisions everything as spiritual. Right? So Prabhupada quotes this verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharam upayunjate nirbandhe Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagya. What is yukta vairagya? Nirbandhe Krishna sambandhe. To see everything in relationship to Krishna. Right? Like how Prabhupada, he saw a flatbed truck. What do you think of? This is a Rath Yatra cart. We can use this as a first Rath Yatra in the West. Right? Anything he saw its connection to Krishna's service. So that is the situation of where one is, not in the situation where he is doing something for himself. Everything he does is for the pleasure of the Paramatma. So everything connected with Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everything used in the service of the Lord. Right? Prabhupada also quotes स्थावर जंगम देखे ना देखे तारा मूर्ति सर्वत्र होए निज इष्ट देव स्फूर्ति. Right? He does not see so many things around. he sees everything in relationship to Krishna. He sees Krishna in everything and everything in Krishna. Right? In Mahavatar Narasimha movie, we see at a particular stage where after seeing the Lord face to face, then Prahlad, who does he? He sees the trees and he sees, oh, that's my Lord there. That's my Lord. So he's seeing everything, seeing Krishna in everything and everything in Krishna. And that is the state that's talked about. Like Bhagavad Gita 6:30 says, Yo mam pashyati sarvata sarvam me cha me pashyati tasyaham na pranishyami na cha me na pranishyati. That one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost in me. So there is no separate distinction there, right? They are all, the jiva is one with the will of the Lord. 29.
Nimite sati sarvatra jaladav api purushaha atmanascha parasyapi bhidam pashyati nanyada. Beginning to learn.
Sorry, Madhuri, I have to make everybody else quiet in my home. Only because of different causes does a person see a difference between himself and others, just as one sees a reflection of a body appearing differently manifested in water, on oil, or in a mirror.
So, nimitta, only because of what? Right, we say nimitta karana, right? Only because of what? The subtle body. When the subtle body is there, then because of the subtle body, the impressions of the subtle body, on account there's different causes, a person sees pashyati, purusha pashyati, atmana and parasyapi. He sees, this is me, this is someone else. He sees that differentiation. The example is sarvatra jala adav api. Just like one may see one's reflection on water. Now how does it appear? Because water is always moving. You see your face is moving, right? If you see your reflection on ice, right, it appears like fixed. And if you see it on oil, it appears very hazy. But it is only the jiva, his consciousness is reflecting on different things, and hence the jiva thinks that I am this, I am this. But actually, this is when the jiva is covered by upadhi, when that is subtle body, he sees all this. But beyond all that, the stage which is talked about, one does not see a difference between me and others. That means he sees, oh, I am part and parcel of Krishna, other is a part of Krishna. We are all, arms of Paramatma. So that is the thing. Right? So, right. So Prabhupada said, actually every living entity is marginal potency of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he quotes Bhagavad Gita 5:18, Vidyamine Sampanne Brahmani Kavi Hasine Sunichaiva Savakya Pandita Samadarshina. He sees everyone with an equal vision. Right? So the differentiation is only because of subtle body. It's a result of our different karma, fruitive activities. And when we stop that fruitive activities and when we turn them into acts of devotion, then there is no differentiation based on external. And this is only possible in Krishna conscious movement. Therefore, races of different men from all parts of it, everyone thinks themselves as servants of Supreme. I mean, what did Prabhupada say? He said, I created a house in which the whole world can live. Why? Because people from different races, different castes, different background, everyone can come together, and the main platform of coming together is each one of us is servant of Krishna. That's our identity. We are spirit soul, we are servant of Krishna. You're not black, you're not white, you're not this, you're not that. Right? So so this is only possible in the Krishna conscious movement. Otherwise, there will always be, oh, I am this, you're that, all those distinctions. Text 30.
Indriyar Vishayakrichtar akshiptam dhyayatam manaha chetanam harate budhe stambastoyamiva radat.
So attachment to things other than the Atma is the cause of bondage. So that's explained in next few verses. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
When one's mind and senses are attracted to sense objects for enjoyment, the mind becomes agitated. As a result of continually thinking of sense objects, one's real consciousness almost becomes lost. Like the water in a lake that is gradually sucked up by the big grass straws on its mat. Hare Krishna.
So a nice example. Indriya Vishaya Akshriti. When the senses are attracted to sense objects, then Ashiptaha. Then what happens? Practical experience, right? We see something we like. Then what happens? The mind becomes agitated. When the mind becomes agitated, then Dhyayata. We start contemplating, okay, how can I get this? How can I enjoy? Then Chetanam Harate. Then our consciousness becomes lost. And Buddha, we lose the ability to discriminate whether this is good for me or not good for me. Everyone has an experience? Or everyone is a pure devotee? Okay. So we have this experience, right? So it starts off with senses attractive sense objects, mind gets agitated, we contemplate. Because of the contemplation, our consciousness is lost, and then we lose the power to discriminate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, step by step, right? An example is Tambas Toyam Hridayat. So there may be water in a lake, but all the big straws on the side, their roots are slowly absorbing the water. We don't even realize, but soon the water will be dry. Why? Because all these roots, these tall grasses are absorbing the water, right? Now, similarly, we don't realize how sense gratification is taking away our consciousness. How our consciousness is getting covered by sense gratification, we don't realize. Because just like we don't see the water getting absorbed, similarly, we don't realize how our contemplation of our enjoying the senses is actually taking away our consciousness, right? Covering our true consciousness, right? So our true consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada makes a point in purport. True consciousness is, and how sense gratification is actually taking away that pure consciousness, right? Alright, so Prabhupada says, if the mind is filled with sense gratification, even though we want Krishna consciousness, we cannot we cannot forget the subject matter of sense gratification. Even you go to Himalayas, mind will continue thinking of those objects of sense gratification. Gradually, once intelligence is affected, one loses original taste for Krishna consciousness. Right? Therefore, what's the solution? We should always keep in touch with devotional service. So the blazing fire of devotional service will gradually burn into ashes all our material desires. Right? So, the point is what Prabhupada is saying. Is our mind filled with desire for sense gratification? Yes? So, Prabhupada says, as long as this is there, even though we want to progress in Krishna consciousness, our mind will still hold on to these things. Right? And he gives an example that even if you go to the Himalayas, the mind is still holding on to those desires. So how we should? By continuous, Prabhupada gives such a nice point. We should always keep in touch with bhakti, so that the blazing fire of devotion service will actually burn away all these material desires in our mind. Right? So Prabhupada quotes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, from the very beginning, the weeds are not taken out, then the weeds will take away our bhakti. So what is we already discussed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions to Rupa Goswami. In that, what does he say? We have to plant the Bhakti Lata beach and then do what? We have to water it. Then we have to create a fence. Because if you don't create a fence, then all the weeds will grow. And then while chanting, you'll start watering the weeds. Right? What does that mean? That you will actually say, oh, actually, goal of Krishna consciousness is liberation. And you'll be chanting. And you're watering a weed that is not pure bhakti. And you won't even realize it. Right? You won't even realize it. So Prabhupada is quoting that Mahaprabhu, hence from the very beginning, he said, the weeds, you should take all these ones. Or the weed could be just of puja labh pratishtha. Right? You're practicing bhakti and you want that, oh, people will come and say, wow, you distributed so many books. You're amazing. Right? So we are anxious to be honored by others. That's a weed. And if you hold on to the weed, then we are watering and we are like focusing on that. Oh, now devotees will praise how pure I am, how good I am, how hard I work. People will start praising. That's a weed. So even from the starting, all these weeds have to be taken out. Otherwise, we'll start watering these weeds. We're chanting so that these weeds are actually watered. Right? So that's the point. Therefore, you should turn our desires towards our loving service to the. So by engaging in, we cannot kill these desires, but we can purify these desires by turning those desires with the desire to serve Krishna. Okay, everyone?
Prabhu, I was just having this that if the sense gratification can cover Krishna consciousness, like as the water is. So I mean, Krishna should be the most powerful, right, Prabhu? Like
What
how
should be
can
the most powerful?
Krishna Bhakti is
Oh, yeah.
extremely powerful, right?
Yeah.
Then how is it that sense gratification desires can cover?
See, bhakti is powerful. See, our being a jiva means consciousness, right? So, spirit soul, the symptom of spirit soul is consciousness. Now, what is polluted by our coming in contact with material nature, having material desire, three modes? Is the soul or the consciousness? Consciousness. So, when we desire to enjoy sense, that pure consciousness, so we give the example, right? Just like a bulb, it has light, and light may be like yellowish or whitish, right? But as soon as you put like the desire for sense gratification, it's like putting like a white sheet over that. Now, is the white sheet actually changing the light of the bulb? No. But what we see after that will take you put the red cover on it. It will come down. So similar desire, what is happening to the consciousness which is projected in the outside world? Originally it was pure, but now it is getting covered. So that covering of consciousness is one way takes almost said like the consciousness is lost. That pure consciousness is lost. Right? But yes, bhakti is so powerful, and hence Prabhupada says we should always be in contact with bhakti. Because if you are not, the nature of this material world is you will keep covering, keep covering, keep covering. Because the mind already has those desires to cover. Therefore, the only way is always burn in that, always be in contact with that bhakti, so that that powerful bhakti will burn away the desire to even cover these things. And what to talk of cover? It will pull away all these coverings. Right? So the desire to cover will go away, and it will pull away covers, and then soon you will see, oh, actually the light is originally whitish. That's the pure Krishna consciousness. Okay? Okay, text 31.
भ्रश्यत्यनुस्मृतिश्चितं ज्ञानभ्रंशस्मृतिक्षये तद्रूढं कवय प्राहुर् आत्मापानवम् आत्मनः.
Hare Krishna. When one deviates from his original consciousness, he loses the capacity to remember his previous position or recognize his present one. When remembrance is lost, all knowledge acquired is based on false foundation. When this occurs, learned scholars consider that the soul is lost.
Yeah. So basically it's a brashyati. Brashyati means destroyed. Anusmriti chittam. We actually, so we may, we have desire for sense gratification. We may do something, let's take something really extreme, right? If someone is like, drinks, right? And then maybe because of that drinking, he has some suffering, right? That could be whatever they call hangover, whatever. Like some suffering is there. Next time when he gets the desire, what happens? Brahmshati anusmriti chipam. He forgets that past experience. That how I suffered after doing that. He forgets that. And then because he forgets, smriti shaya. By destruction of the remembrance, jnana brahmsa. He forgets, oh, why should I do this? The knowledge is actually covered. Therefore, tat radham. You actually choke that process of progressing in bhakti. Kavaya, therefore great scholars, what do they say? Prahu, they have opined that Atma apahanavam atmana. This is like the destruction of the soul. Can the soul be destroyed? No. The soul cannot be destroyed, but that process of engaging in sense gratification is just like the destruction of the soul. Right? Atmaha, Bhagavatam says, means killing the soul. Can you kill the soul? No, you cannot. But it is just as if you're killing the pure consciousness. Right? So that's what Prabhupada says. The jiva soul is always eternal. But today everyone is acting on a body consciousness. So it can almost be said that people have lost soul. Right? People have lost their soul. I mean, there is no question of losing the soul on the tattva side, but it is just as if people have lost, killing their soul. But the original consciousness is Krishna consciousness. When consciousness is misguided, put in material consciousness, one thinks himself, I am the product of material element, and then so he loses remembrance that he is part and parcel of Krishna. Text 32.
Nata parataro loke pumsa svarta vyatikramaha yad adyan yasya preyasrastvam atmana swa vyatikramat. Vrindavan Vilasan.
There is no stronger obstruction to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Yes, so na ata parata. So there is no nothing which is more obstructive to swa-artha, to one's own self-interest, vyatikrama. So there is no obstruction greater to one's self-interest than anyasya preyastvam, thinking anyasya, other subject matters to be prayer. Prayer means more pleasing than sense gratification, than self-realization. To think of anything other than a process of self-realization to be more pleasing. Oh, let me have this and that's more fun than bhakti. That is the greatest obstacle for our own self-interest. Yes? Is that a big obstacle? Yes. So Prabhupada says human life is meant for self-realization. When one becomes more interested in body or bodily sense gratification, he creates for himself obstruction on the path of self-realization. Okay. Therefore, sense gratification is prohibited in the world for those who are interested in self-realization. So it's just like opposites. One side is self-realization, other side sense gratification. The more we want to gratify our senses, more we are creating an obstacle for our own self-realization. 33.
Artendriyartha vidyanam sarvartha panavo nrinam brahmshito jnana vigyanat yena vishati mukyatam.
Hare Krishna translation. For human society, constantly thinking of how to earn money and apply it for sense gratification brings about the destruction of everyone's interests. When one becomes devoid of knowledge and devotional service, he enters into species of life like those of trees and stones. Hare Krishna.
So artha abhidhyanam indriya artha. So we saw this verse before also. We started with the what? Indriya artha. Right? We should not associate with those who are arama in indriya and artha. So here it says artha. So those who are constantly thinking of riches for satisfaction of senses, sarva artha brings about destructions of everyone's interest. Brahmsita jnana vijnana, being devoid of knowledge and devotion service, avishati mukhyatam. He enters into immovable life, as trees and stones, etc. And Prabhupada makes a point in purport. He says, like, even hills, mountains, their souls can enter into hills and mountains, and so on. Right? So, like making all activities zero. So human form of life, one should come to a position of Gyan and Vijnanam through Guru and Shastra. If one misses the opportunity, then next life he'll become a dog, right? I mean, America, everyone is like so attached to dogs. Like, yesterday I was just seeing someone walking and like, they're so like, oh, like, you know, so much, expressing so much affection to their pet. And it's like, I was thinking like, what will save that person from becoming a dog in the next life? I mean, it's like so attached and so much affection for a dog that they'll become a dog in the next day. So here it's actually making the point that if we actually think that, oh, this is more, more interesting than self-realization, that you'll enter into lower species, right? It becomes destruction, brings about destruction of everyone's interest, right? Okay. And yeah, and then Prabhupada says people earn money by begging, borrowing, or stealing, used for sense gratification. This civilization itself is the greatest obstacle to self-realization. It's true, right? The whole civilization, the whole society is what? Oh, enjoy your senses. Buy this, get this. That's how you'll be happy. That's what the whole society is just like pushing everyone. Unless you get this, you cannot be happy. Unless you get this, other people have, you have to get it. Unless you get it. And that's what the society keeps bombarding us. So Prabhupada is saying, this society is the greatest obstacle for the path of self-realization. If you align yourself with the thinking of the society, you cannot progress in bhakti. Right? Therefore, 34.
Prabhu, I just have a question, bro. So, bro, when we have this family members, as we're talking about society pressure, so when we have these family members who are like our parents, they're not devotees, so they force like, you should buy this land, it must, when Prabhu, we go to India for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, in that time also we have to do all sorts of, talking all money matters. So how do we devotees, dodge that problem? It's very difficult, bro, when the parents or elders or
Yeah. Like
we're
my
forced
experience
to.
is, because they are elders, if you say anything, they're not going to listen to you. So when they say, you just say yes. ठीक है. And then after they say, okay, you didn't do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'll do it. And just postpone it. Because there's no point. That's what is my experience. It's like, okay, yeah. ठीक है. हम करेंगे. जब time आएगा तब करेंगे. I'm working on it. I mean, you can always give an excuse, but things for sure, we know that this is just going to entangle me in this material world. You cannot tell them anything. So just like say, okay, like, your experience, like someone came and gave me a lecture for half an hour and I was like, okay. In my mind, I was like, Hare Krishna, please Krishna, when he'll stop talking. But you cannot say anything to elder. They will not, if you say anything, they'll have another 2 hours of lecture. So better like this. And after some time, they'll be like, oh, he's listening. So, I mean, how much should I say? Half an hour, they'll keep quiet. If you say anything, then half an hour will become 3 hours. So just like, okay. And then afterwards, you can always say, yes, I'm working on it. And, So, I mean, there's always ways that Krishna will give you intelligence. If you know for sure that this is a big obstacle to your Krishna consciousness, then you always have it. But sometimes it could be somewhere in between where you do something where they feel a little bit happy, but you are actually still focusing here. Externally, you're showing, oh, I love you so much and this, and I'm falling. But internally, you're cultivating your bhakti. So it depends on what is their requirement and how, you should. But with elders, I've seen it never works to just, argue and like say, oh, this never works. So you have to see, like, based on their requirement or, their point for us, how much can I, do without disturbing, without it being an obstacle for my Krishna consciousness. Okay. So 34.
Prabhu, after this, could you go through the flow again? Like, why is he again talking about subtle body, and like, how did the flow happen? Like with this conversation?
Yeah. 34. Okay, let's do 30 up to 36. I think we can do, and then that ends that section. Then it switches to Bhakti Mrishakya.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see 36.
34. Na kuryat karichit sangam tamastivram titir rishuhu dharmartha kama mokshanam yad atyanta vighatakam.
Hare Krishna. Those who strongly desire to cross the ocean of nations must not associate with the modes of ignorance, for hedonistic activities are the greatest obstructions to realization of religious principles, economic development, regulated sense gratification, and at last, liberation.
So basically it says like, na kuryat karichit sangam. Do not associate with those things, right, which are tamaha, which are in mode of ignorance. And how do you know which is in mode of ignorance? It says tivram tirishuhu, right? So it says those who strongly desire that to cross over this ocean of nations, you should never associate with those associate with the mode of ignorance. And how do you know which is the mode of ignorance? That those things which obstruct dharma, artha, kama, moksha, you should. So like it's easier for us to understand that, okay, what are the things that will obstruct dharma, artha, kama, moksha? Okay, those things are obstacle for my self-realization, so therefore I give it up. That is one meaning. Second meaning, which I think Prabhupada also gives, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also say, others say all kind of association, including those that lead to dharma, artha, kam, moksha, should I be given. And moksha is okay, dharma, artha, kam, right? So those three have to be given up. And then the verse that is quoted is dharmasya hi apavargasya, right? Nartho arthaya pakalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhaya hismita. Right? So, right. So basically 129 says that material results are not suitable for as a goal for the person dedicated to higher spiritual goals. The desire of the person dedicated to a higher path is not for the attainment of material assets. So basically here, association with sense objects means association with things forbidden in Dharma Shastras. Right? So what is forbidden in Dharma Shastra? That we should not associate with. Right? Then Prabhupada says there are four principles: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Right? So Dharma means living according to Dharma. Artha means earning money according to position. Kama means allow senses to enjoy according to some regulation. And then Moksha means progress along path of liberation. So as long as the body is there, it's not possible to become completely free from material interaction. Okay. Then Prabhupada says the current civilization, economic development versus religion. So in current situation, current civilization, people are interested in what? Not interested in Dharma, only interested in Artha and Kama. Right? So the process is, even from the Vedic side, is you do your Dharma, and by doing your Dharma, you will get Artha, and by that Artha you can enjoy. And then by that one time you will be frustrated, you can aspire for Moksha. Right? So, but right now the society has given up the Dharma, they just focus on Artha and Kama, and because of that, there are slaughterhouses, there is sex brothel, there is liquor, and Prabhupada is saying that how all the four regulative principles are broken. All the norm in the society is to break the four regulative principles. Right? Eating meat, common. Drinking, common. Right? Illicit sex, common. Gambling, common. Everything. All four regulative principles have become a norm in this. And because all those four are adharmic, imagine how much sin everyone is doing just by living in today's society. Right? So hence, those things which are actually, why is Prabhupada talking on these four regulative principles? Okay, what's the connection? Why does Prabhupada talk about these four regs in relationship to the verse? Quickly, unmute.
Regulated sense gratification. That the Dharma Shastras are teaching us regulated sense gratification, but we should avoid these four things.
Okay, so why? Because these four are the pillars of Dharma. Right? What is Dharma? Four pillars?
Cleanliness, austerity, mercy, and truthfulness.
Right? So that's what we learned first canto. So all these four regulative principles, and breaking this is actually directly opposing these four principles. Therefore, the Dharma is actually being broken. And hence Prabhupada is explaining that how people are actually breaking Dharma to get Artha and Kama. Right? No one follows Dharma even to get Artha and Kama. So that's the whole point here, right? So for us, understanding the Dharma is based on these four principles, right? Truthfulness, cleanliness, austerity, mercy. Understanding those. So what is an obstacle? What is against these? That is against also bhakti. So let's not do it. Let's not do it. Right? Therefore, we take a vow to follow these four regulative principles at the time of initiation. 35.
Tatrapi moksha evarta atyanti kataya yeshyate traivargyorto yato nityam kritanta bhayasam yutaha. Shirade Mataji, I think? Or, yeah, I think it's
I read Mataji.
Priyanka Mataji?
Yeah, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Out of the four principles, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, liberation has to be taken very seriously. The other three are subject to destruction by the stringent law of nature, death.
So out of these four, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, death will take away dharma, artha, and kama. Right? Anything you earn will be taken away. Your sense gratification over at time of death. Right? All those dharmic principles that have followed, gone. The only thing that remains is moksha. Therefore, of all these, tatra api, out of all these things, atyanti kataya, the most important is moksha. Right? So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport. He says, one can sacrifice the interest in dharma, artha, and kama, but one cannot sacrifice the cause of liberation. And what is true liberation? True liberation is Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita 4.9 and he says true liberation is Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yoveti Tatvataha. To know Krishna in truth, that is true liberation, right? And not the impersonalist liberation where you just keep Aruya Krishna Padam Padam Tatha Patanti Ada, where you fall down. Right? Therefore, real liberation is to seek shelter of Supreme Personality of God and engage in devotional service, and that's basically our Krishna conscious movement. Okay, last verse.
Parevare cha ye bhava guna vyatikararanu natesham vidyate kshemam isha vidvam sita shisham. Mahananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Verse number
36.
36.
We accept the blessings of different states of higher life, distinguishing them from lower states of life. But we should know that such destination exists only in relation to the interchange of the modes of material nature. Actually, these states of life have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by the Supreme Controller. Hare Krishna.
So pare means a higher state of life. Avare means lower state of life. Right? Bhava conception. Guna vyatikara. Right? All these actually occur due to the three modes of material nature. What does 14th chapter say? If you are in mode of goodness, then you'll attain what? The higher planetary systems. If you are in mode of passion, you'll be here. If you are in mode of ignorance, you'll go lower. Right? So all those forms are because of interaction with the modes, but na vidyate, they did not exist permanently. And Isha Vidha Vidham Shita. So this word, they will be destroyed by the Supreme Controller. Prabhupada takes this word in the purport, he actually explains this. Isha Vidham Sita Shisham. He gives 4 different explanations of this word, that how the Supreme Controller will destroy the upper and lower. And that is your homework. Find these 4 explanations in the purport. Okay? Okay, so let's stop here. So, it's really nice, Prabhupada, how he's explaining that, how the Supreme Controller destroys. Right? So, we'll see these 4 next time, and you can find them all. So, what is in general the flow of this section? So, we focus on Sanat Kumar giving this Gyan Mishra Bhakti. The focus is on, the emphasis is on Bhakti, but the goal is what? Where we are seeing the Atma and the Paramatma. Did we talk of anything where it actually says one has direct relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? No. We talked of less the limbs of Bhakti, and by hearing one gets Gyan, and by that Gyan one destroys the subtle body. Therefore, the destruction of the subtle body by Gyan is actually Gyan Mishra Bhakti. If you destroy your subtle body with Bhakti, then what happens? Then you will be dancing in Goloka Vrindavan. But that's not explained here. And that's why this section is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So first few items we all discuss, is all directly limbs of Bhakti, right? So we talked of so many different processes. And then what is the result? And the whole point is what? Ultimate goal is what? To develop what? Rati for Krishna. Right, to develop that Rati for Krishna. So yes, here it actually talks about, so this is the first process, second process Bhakti Mishra Gyan, third process pure Bhakti. All these 3 processes he is going to talk about for that one purpose of developing rati to the Lord. Right? So he talked about what is the result when the subtle body is destroyed, and then he talked about what is the state one attains when the subtle body is destroyed, what is the relationship within the Paramatma, and then he says, what is, because every time there's a positive talked about, there's always the obstacles in this progress. And what are the obstacles? Again, from text 30, it says, thinking of a sense gratification. And that's why he says, thinking of gratifying our senses and seeing that that is more pleasure is actually the greatest obstacle for our self-realization. So that's entire section 30, 31, 32, 30, up to 33 is the obstacle. Therefore, 34 gives the solution. Therefore, those who are interested to practice Jnana Mishra Bhakti, they should actually give away those four things which directly are obstacles to dharma, which is what? Breaking the four negative principles. Those are real impediments for Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Therefore, give that away. Right? So, that's it. So that's and then it concludes by saying how the Lord, he destroys all these temporary goals with that word Isha Vidham Sita, and four explanations of how the Supreme Control will take away everything. Right? And very excellent how Prabhupada explained these words in four different ways. Okay, so please find out the four different ways in your next class. Okay, everyone.
Prabhu, the goal of Shantaras is just to have a relationship with Paramatma. Is that the goal?
Yeah, oneness with the will of the Lord, right? In the sense of not having an active relationship of dasya.
Just being with,
being conscious of the Lord and always acting. Okay, I'm doing this because this is in line with the will of the Lord. Right? So there is a difference between like, okay, the Lord is present, He wants me to do this, and hence I'm doing it. The other bhakti means I'm directly interacting with the Lord. Right? You see the difference? One is the son knows, okay, my father wants me to do this, and hence I'm doing it. Okay, so that means he has the relationship of what with the father? Oh, my father is so great. He knows what is best for me. Hence, I'm acting in this way. The other is the son going and directly playing with the father. Father, can we play? Can we play volleyball? Can we do that? Is direct interaction. That is bhakti. That is, direct, higher rasas we are talking about. But when it is just like, I will act because my father wants me to act this way. So that is at the stage of Shanta Rati.
like, when we do bhakti also, we're also like using jnana to, okay, I'm not the body, and we're like, but what's the difference between that and this is
the goal.
The goal? Okay.
That's why I spoke about the goal. It's the goal. That yes, we understand we're in the body, but why? What is the goal finally? Yeah, I want to get liberation. Then it's not pure bhakti. That's why the goal is so important, and that's why the whole conversation with Ramandra and Mahaprabhu, the whole section is like, what is the goal? And he talks of like all these, like even he talks of Sarvadharma Pradhyaya, and Mahaprabhu says, no, higher. Because the goal is finally for us is rasas. And the higher rasas. Predominantly for us, the three rasas. And then even higher if you go more specific than the highest. But at least the three rasas we can talk about. Right? Madhurya, Sakya, Vatsalya. Vatsalya, Sakya. Right? At least those three. And all those three are in the mood of dasya. Right? All of them are serving, but these three rasas. But that goal, if the goal is clear, then the knowledge will actually take you towards bhakti. Okay?
So it's like all the entire section that we read, it's pretty much what we do in general, like, basic, So that's what I was thinking that, it's Jnana Mishra Bhakti, like, so that's like the last point clarifies it, that everything could be, Karma Mishra Bhakti and everything. but only our objective defines the
Yes.
process.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, any last points? 9:53, so I think we can stop here. I hope it's okay, like it was a little technical, but I mean that point over destruction of the subtle body, it's interesting point to meditate on, how the subtle body gets dissolved and what happens in the dissolution of the subtle body. Okay. So we'll stop here. I hope it's okay, like we are doing these classes and like, as I know it's a lot, but I hope you're like absorbing the points from the verses, and if you feel like we should go a little faster, I can go a little faster. If you feel like maybe a different format, we can try different style, but you can let me know. Okay. Okay, so thank you so much. And yeah, Grantarashram Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Manchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindubhyo cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Thank you all so much for your association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Mataji.
Wow, we have so many young Bhakti Vaibhava students. Amazing.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji. Hare Krishna.